boom, his eyeball blows out.
Adam Curry, Justce Dvorak.
It's Thursday, September 5th, 2019. This is your award-winning Gitmo Nation Media Assassination episode 1170.
This is No Agenda.
Still fighting dark mode and broadcasting live from Opportunity Zone 33 in the frontier of Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, I'm Justce Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
The last show, it was so long, it took us three retakes to do it, and now it's done. One and done.
It got a laugh.
Yeah, from me. Yes, that's true. Woo! Oh, man. Lots been going on.
Hong Kong Blues.
Yeah. Lots been going on. I'll tell you what I did yesterday, and then you tell me where you'd like to start, because I watched a lot of that climate change town hall.
I watched very little of it. Every time I turned it on, I watched it. Why am I watching this?
It was.
And by the way, can Elizabeth Warren gesticulate more?
Gesticulate? What is gesticulating?
Throwing her arms all over the place when she talks. She's the whole globe, and then she makes a huge circle with her arm. Yeah. And she's throwing her arms left and right and left and right. I mean, it's like if she poked somebody's eye out if they were standing near her.
Yeah, it's the whole thing. From a television production standpoint, what a losing piece of crap. Why would anybody want to watch that?
Well, I watched a little bit of Elizabeth Warren. I watched very little of Kamala, the giggler.
Yeah.
And I will say this, that Scott Adams had an interesting take on Kamala Harris. He says that she has I think he's maybe right about this. She has the personality of a submissive.
Huh, interesting. Because I have a clip where that kind of comes out. And just looking at this, obviously the audience was stacked. It wasn't really a town hall. It was a CNN studio where they had, it was bogus, changing images of Hurricane Dorian on the big screen. Because of course, we know that this is all due to climate change. And really, because it was 10 hours and everybody got a turn, and it's easy to grab the gaffes and the dumbness. But I just took two examples of how set up and scripted this was. Because
by the way, I'm disagreeing with you right away. It's not easy to pull out the gaffes out of a 10-hour document.
I just needle dropped and found stuff. It was that easy. But when I'm saying what I was interested in is how it was set up. And if you and I were to produce this, I think someone had some humor. To be like, okay, Elizabeth Warren, now let's get some questions for her. Oh, I know. Let's get an American Indian to ask her a question. That'll be great. Yeah, let's do that.
Chantel Comerdell. She's from a narrow island of land in Louisiana known as Isle de Jean Charles. It's rapidly disappearing because of rising sea levels and...
Now, just leave it. We'll deconstruct it in a minute.
Coastal erosion. Chantel, thank you very much for being with us. What's your question, Chantel?
Thank you. So, as he said, I'm from the island of Jean Charles, Biloxi, Chitimacha, Choctaw tribe. We've been dubbed as many as
it's really, this is great. The Choctaw pride. I didn't even hear what she said, but
something Choctaw.
She's right out of Central Casting. She's perfect to ask an American Indian, which is the preferred way to categorize them. An American Indian to ask a question of the fake American Indian. It's a great idea, CNN.
First American climate refugees.
We're the first American climate refugees.
We had a front row seat to climate change for the past 20 years. I had to move from my island home when I was little due to mold-induced asthma and from repeat flooding. So my question to you is, if president, what changes would you make to support communities like mine who face community-wide displacement and cultural erasure?
Oh, man, I love that. She said, did she say cultural erasure or, because it should be climate erasure.
She said cultural erasure.
How about cultural climate erasure? I'm just looking for a term here. Now listen to the submissive Liz go into her spiel. And she knew this was coming.
So let me start by saying how very sorry I am.
For being a liar.
It's got to be hard to watch your homelands disappear like this. And know that you've done everything you can do, but that the forces bigger than you have taken over. And so I see it this way. When I think about climate.
Now this was interesting. She was so ready for this. She took that and when she says, "Now, let me tell you about this. When I think about climate," she turns to the camera and goes into a pre-rehearsed spiel. It was slick.
And so I see it this way. When I think about climate, it is the existential threat. It is the one that threatens all life on this planet. That every day we're losing species. It's changing. The oceans are getting more acidic. So when I first started thinking about how to describe what I will fight for when I run for president, I decided I wasn't going to do one climate plan.
Oh, no, not one. No, not just one plan.
I decided I was going to try to look at climate in every part of the plans I'm working on. So that means I've got a lot of places where this comes in, because that's how I see it. It's not going to be a one and done that's all confined. It's that it hits in different places. So, for example, on the policy...
Yeah, I know. I can't. It ends funny, but I can't listen to it. Here's the problem. Isle de Jean Charles has been, quote unquote, sinking for decades because of the levees in Louisiana. The levees stopped the silt, and this is, you can find all kinds of articles here from the New Orleans Lens. The people of Isle de Jean Charles aren't the country's first climate refugees. No, and then there's all this oil and gas drilling. It's erosion. It's not because the sea level is rising.
Actually, we have one of our producers who sent me a long document describing this whole thing.
Fabulous.
And he goes on and says the island wasn't even known until 1935, even though it apparently existed before. But they finally started mapping it, and it turns out the thing hasn't been even eroding that much. The problem is there's one road going in and out that's very poorly supported, and they don't want to keep this road going. And then there's a bunch of oil and gas that they think they can drill there. So they're rousting the people.
Yeah. This woman hasn't lived there for most of her life. But, cultural... what was it? Erasure.
So the whole thing is bull crap.
Bull crap. Now,
the island is bull crap. Them climate immigrants is bull crap, and Elizabeth Warren is bull crap.
Let's move on to Mayor Pete. So, Mayor Pete, if we were in the meeting,
I turned it off, by the way.
Oh no, man! If you and I were in the meeting, what do we want to do to have a little fun with Mayor Pete?
Have a gay guy ask him a question.
Have a gay guy ask him a question about children. This is even funnier. Yeah. And let's make sure the gay guy is into solar power.
Bill Jordan, Troy, New York. He's the founder and CEO of Jordan Energy. They do solar panel installation, as well as being the co-founder and board president of the Let's Share the Sun Foundation, which installs solar panels in poor parts of the world. Bill, thank you for being a part of this. What's your question?
How do you and Chasen think about leaving the world a better place, particularly around the climate change issues discussed here today, to the next generation and any children you may choose to raise?
Well, we're hoping to have kids one day, and I want to know that our kids can thrive. When I got into this campaign, I talked a lot about the idea of generational justice. And at first people looked at me funny because I don't think it's something that's been talked about.
I'm just going to write that one down. Generational justice.
Yeah, that goes right to the top of the list.
That's a good one.
Talked about much, but each of us has an obligation to do our part, not only to be just to those around us, but to those who will come in the future. And I think, when we're on the campaign trail now, and more, the questions I get from kids are about climate. They're almost always either about gun violence or about climate.
Now remember,
wonder why.
Remember, children have been abused have been abused by abusing other children to make them all afraid and just abuse the crap out of them. And Mayor Pete seems to be good with this.
These are personal questions. They're asking about whether they're going to be able to thrive.
He hates kids.
Again, it's why I think this isn't just saving the planet. This is saving the future for specific people who are alive right now. I also, frankly, think of it a little more selfishly, because when we're talking about whether we hit this target of 2050, decarbonizing our economy, Lord willing, I plan to be here. I would
now wait for some stats.
Be in my 60s. By the time we know whether we have succeeded and can look back at 2020 and be proud of what we did to begin getting on the right track, or realize that we're the ones who blew it. These are the years. We talk about 2030 as a deadline, but in many ways, 2020 is the deadline, because if we're not underway by the time the new president takes office, we really have lost our last shot. It's why there is so much riding on this election. And
so he's saying we have to be underway by 2020, otherwise forget about it. So vote for me, because we have to get it done by this election. So vote for me.
Talk about 2030 as a deadline, but in many ways, 2020 is the deadline, because if we're not underway by the time the new president takes office, we really have lost our last shot. That's why there is so much riding on this election.
Wait.
And for me and everybody I know, for the children that we hope to have, for the people who will be alive at the turn of the century, when if we don't change what we're doing, we could lose half the world's oxygen because of what's going on in the oceans.
There it is.
What?
There it is. We could lose half the world's oxygen.
How?
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your oxygen mask on if they should drop from the ceiling of your house, because we're losing the world's oxygen. And remember, this is for the children.
That's why there is so much riding on this election. And for me and everybody I know, for the children that we hope to have, for the people who will be alive at the turn of the century, when if we don't change what we're doing, we could lose half the world's oxygen because of what's going on in the oceans. That is unthinkable.
Ooh.
And we owe it to, we just cannot look in the eyes of a child right now with a straight face and say we're doing right by them. We owe it to them to get this done before it's too late.
Oh, yes. Oh, Pete. Woo! Oh, yes. We can't look in the eyes of our children. We can't do that. We just need to go through this briefly. Now there's a script to abusing children and getting this message going. And in this case, it's being abused, and children are being abused for climate change. A group of producers of the No Agenda Show put a couple things together to help me explain this exactly, how this is not only works, but is extremely effective. So first of all, if you want to put together some campaign with kids, you've got to start by showing the kids playing grown-ups, have them interact with adults, making the adults obviously sound stupid and unaware of what's going on. This is an example.
Climate change, you're a threat. How many years do we have left?
Excuse me, do you guys have a moment to talk about climate change?
Okay, so that's how you'd start off a campaign. Then you have the kids, you got to have them pitch the issue to the viewer and the audience, address them in a little bit of a patronizing way, showing them they're ignorant, stupid, or you're not doing enough. Point out the deadline, like 12 years or 2020, as Mayor Pete said, and then you have to have some authority, like scientists, and say that they say it has to happen.
We polled kids across Canada and asked them to rank election issues in order of priority. 74% ranked climate change as the issue most important to them.
Climate scientists are now saying we only have 12 years left to act if we want to avoid catastrophic damage.
Downtown.
That's why we're lobbying the federal government to lower the voting age from 18 to 8.
So then you got to wrap it up. You've got to have a catchy hook. So, like let the kids vote. With these clips are from something we played on the last show. Let the kids vote.
Love it, by the way.
Put it to music, kind of like a We Are the World vibe if you can. Get the kids to sing in a choir, a melody that sticks in your head like cheap chewing gum.
They are the future. They deserve a say.
You like this song.
And if we work together, we can lower the boat and
And this song has been in my head since the last show.
Climate change is not a This guy can vote, and I can't.
These kids are not here to kid around.
Let the kids vote. Let the kids vote.
Let the kids vote.
Right, so there you have it, the Let the Kids Vote campaign, done expertly with all the elements you need.
Yeah.
So let's see this in real time with the No Agenda Show.
Amygdala, overload. How long till it will explode? 1, 2, 3. I guess it was 3.
Excuse me, guys. Do you have a moment to talk about exploding amygdalas?
Excuse me, it's ma'am. It is ma'am.
I think we're too late for that one.
There's a piece on your cheek that looks like Rachel Maddow.
Ew.
We polled 33 kids across Gitmo Nation in the morning and asked them to rank issues that affect them in order of priority.
They said stuff like douchebags camping on Fortnite,
friends cheating in Pokemon,
and parents hassling them about screen time.
But when we gave them a list,
they all chose exploding amygdalas as their number one concern.
Because it sounds funny.
Scientists say that we only have 12 years of schooling as children before we irreversibly turn into adults.
That's why we've been exploited now for cheap laughs
and to get donations for the No Agenda Show.
Felix, why are we doing this again?
My dad bribed me and gave your daddy beer.
Oh, I guess that's how the rest of the world works.
Here comes the tune that gets stuck in everybody's head. Hit it, Sir Ned.
Our No Agenda will help keep you safe. Stop your amygdala exploding in your brain. Value for value, so donate to us today. Dvorak.org/NA.
Dvorak.org/NA.
I'm crying right now.
Those kids being exploited.
Special thanks to Sir Felix Wilson and Jenny Pham. That's Felix's friend. Mick Schwang, Jenny's dad. Sir Ned Jeffrey, who wrote and recorded the song, co-wrote the lyrics. And Squire Arlo Jeffrey there at the end. But that's how it works. And you're all now going to donate to the show.
Let's hope so.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you have more on the climate thing? Because
Yeah.
I have some clips.
I have one other thing. There was an interstitial that ran of a CNN weatherman. By the way, the weatherman, and they called him the weatherman, not even meteorologist, just weatherman. Weatherman. He got to ask questions, everybody. It's like, okay. And here's CNN weatherman Chad Myers, a little interstitial, saying, I used to be a climate skeptic, but then it changed.
I was once a climate change skeptic. I get it. Years ago, I didn't think the world's climate would actually change due to global warming gases. I was convinced that at some point the Earth would reach a greenhouse gas equilibrium, where the ocean and plant life would absorb the excess CO2 that humans produced. This would acidify the ocean, kill the coral reefs, and destroy the ocean food chain, but leave the climate intact. Then in 2013, CO2 concentrations in the atmosphere passed 400 parts per million. That's when I knew the oceans and the plants couldn't keep up the demand we were placing on them. There would be no equilibrium, and the climate would change first. So I went out to learn as much as I could about these climate-changing gases, the science, the facts, and the myths. When you sort the facts from the fiction, you may see things as I do now.
So this fool is using the 400 parts per million as the tipping point, which we've passed.
Well, 360 was the tipping point.
Right. Well, no, wasn't it 350? I think it was climate change 350.
I thought it was 360.
No, it's 350.
360.org.
350.org. But okay. Sorry.
Okay, one of the two.
360
Whatever,
would be...
we're way past that. Temperatures haven't gone up in response that much.
It's
but
350.org.
everything's a record.
I checked it.
So there's something fishy about this whole thing because this was going on at the same time. There's a bunch of
what? You think there's something fishy going on?
Do I think there's something fishy, Captain Obvious?
Yes, really. Okay.
So I noticed there was a bunch of stuff going on all over the world. There are all these climate things, but there was a beef going on in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know when this was, but it seemed to be recent. And it's with Alan Jones, an old fart that's one of the presenters on ABC, Australian Broadcasting Company. And he got into a beef because they did a climate thing the night before his show and they condemned him and all the rest. It's really worth following because this guy is pretty funny. And this is Alan Jones versus the professor. This is the setup, part one.
I was accused of downplaying the human impact on climate change. Of course, no attempt was made to contact me so that I could offer a defence. That's the ABC. But one of the guests was Professor David Caroli, referred to as an Australian atmospheric scientist based at the CSIRO. And a questioner asked Professor Caroli the following. I saw the radio commentator Alan Jones on TV recently, and he said that 0.04% of the world's atmosphere is CO2. The questioner went on, and 3% of that is created by human beings around the world, and of that, 1.3% is created by Australians. The questioner said, is that correct? And if so, is human activity really making a difference? A pretty good question. Professor Caroli replied, not everything Jones says is factually correct. No wonder he stumbled in seeking to repudiate me. He went on to say that while it is correct that 0.04% of the world's atmosphere is carbon dioxide, quote, Jones's statistics around humans, I think it means human beings, causing climate change, and the role Australians specifically play is completely false.
Yeah, I think I've seen this this bit. It was very interesting. I'm glad you pulled clips from it.
Yeah, I pulled the whole thing apart. So this was because the night before there was a bunch of climate people on it. This is like the PBS NewsHour. You know, they're obliged to toe the line. As you remember, we had that clip with Al Gore and Judy made some allusion to somebody doubting these numbers, these stats, and
heresy.
Gore jumped all over her for even suggesting such a thing, and then she relented. Anyway, so this goes on, and we heard the numbers, which 0.04% is 400 parts per million. So you got that part right. Mm-hmm. So let's listen to Alan Jones. I don't know, I let the S off. Versus the professor, part two.
He said 0.04% of the world's carbon dioxide was correct. The other numbers that the question referred to were 3% of that is what human beings create around the world, and 1.3% of that 3% is created by Australians. Caroli said, though, all his other numbers, they must have been those last two numbers, are wrong. Well, on the 25th of May 2011, I interviewed Professor Caroli on radio. Let me just play you an extract, very brief, of that interview. It was very courteous and very friendly. Just listen to this. Professor Caroli, good morning.
Good morning, Alan. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Can I just begin firstly with a little bit of maths so that we can agree on a couple of things? Would you say it's unarguable that the level of carbon dioxide in the air is less than 0.04%? And if I make that point because nitrogen we know is about 78, oxygen about 21, and then there's argon and things like that. But CO2 in the air about 0.04%.
Yes.
Okay. Do you agree that the UN IPCC Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change says that of the Earth's annual production of carbon dioxide, this 0.04% that's in the air, nature produces 97% and human beings 3%?
Of the annual fluxes that go in and the annual fluxes that come out, yes.
That's it. So I just want to get this clear on maths, because you're the scientist, I'm not. 0.04% of the air is carbon dioxide, and of that 0.04%, 97% is produced by nature and human beings 3%. Now, of that 3%, all Australian human activity, transport, industry, agriculture, mining, power generation, that stuff, we produce 1.3 to 1.5%.
Yeah, Alan, you're absolutely right.
Okay. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, this is the same guy the night before that said he wasn't.
Right.
So this is, and by the way, people should pay attention to those numbers because we kind of lost track of the fact that 0.04% of the carbon dioxide, 97% of it is produced by nature. We got nothing to do with it.
Damn nature.
So we're just a tip of a tip. So anyway, so let's listen to some Jones bitching and moaning and making some generalities. This is part 3, which says "Hree." I left a T out.
Alan, you're absolutely right. That ends that. Let's just put that aside. I stand by what I've said for years. We are talking about a global warming hoax, demonising carbon dioxide, demonising coal-fired power, which has led us into this economic suicide mess. Business can't afford the energy bill. People at home can't afford the electricity bill. Why? Well, we export our coal so that others can have cheap electricity, but we're not prepared to use it so that we can have cheap electricity because carbon dioxide is destroying the planet. That's what Caroli and the mob on Q&A would have you believe.
Now, which brings us to the point, if people are coal producers like Australia and they're exporting the coal, they should just stop producing coal 100%. Just stop if it's that bad. But okay, now Jones did continue because this was really part of a show on something else, which was he brought another guy in to talk about sea levels, who is one of the world's experts on sea level rises, which kind of plays into your clip about the little island there in the middle of the swamp.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to where I ended with this, but this is, I just would throw this out there because I'm looking out and there's the big mud flats out there, which is not silt by any means.
Yes.
It's mud.
Yeah.
It's silt. It becomes mud if it gets wet. So let's just listen to this and then I'm done with this segment.
Well, here in this country, in Australia, children are being taught at schools that Bondi Beach could finish up at Bathurst. You've been tracking sea levels at various parts of the globe, have you not, for 50 years? Are sea levels rising worldwide, which the climate change apologists keep telling us is happening?
No, certainly not. In the northern hemisphere, and especially in the European, we can prove and test that absolute sea level is not rising more than about 1 millimeter per year. If we go to the equatorial region, and now we come closer to Australia, it's not even rising at all.
Amazing.
And it has been stable for the last 50 to 70 years.
There you are.
And that is a fact.
There you are.
Find that guy, go kill him.
Sorry, I heard a walkie-talkie somewhere. Yeah. Well, I will take us out on an up note, on a laugh.
Heaven forbid we present these facts.
Yes. We have Hurricane Dorian, which made some very interesting moves. But of course, devastated most of the Bahamas. It's pretty bad, and we really don't have any. We just have that helicopter footage, which it really never does it justice. You know, you think, wow, that's a lot, but you have to get down to the ground to see how bad it really is. But this thing was supposed to come careening into Miami, then it was going to be further north, then it looked like it was going to be the nuclear power plant, St. Lucie. It was headed straight for it, and then it bops up. Here's Emory College professor Tiffany Yannick. It's interesting. Tiffany spelled Tiphanie.
Wow.
That's a cool. I mean, my sister's name is Tiffany, but she has the traditional Tiffany. That's a new one for me.
I think the best one is Tiffani with a heart
over
the I.
That's a perfect one.
That's the Tiffany.
Yeah, I'll suggest it to Tiffany. Here she is talking about the Hurricane Dorian.
Professor Yannick, you have said that the Caribbean is ground zero for the climate crisis. And I want to say in the nonstop coverage in the networks, and of course it should be nonstop coverage of what's happening with this hurricane, there is almost no mention of climate change.
Yes. Well,
I don't know what she was watching.
good morning, Amy. Good morning, Juan. Thank you for having me again. The truth is that these storms that are hitting the Caribbean with this intense magnitude are historic, unprecedented, and these storms are man-made storms.
I love this. I love this concept, man-made storms. But here,
this falls into the conspiracy theory that it's a man-made storm so it could go out and wipe out Jeffrey Epstein's island.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites. There's this guy on YouTube, Mike, who does all the weather charts. He has like 3 million followers. Insane. This guy's been doing it for years. And I've watched him many times, but I usually give up because most of the time it's like, hold on, that's the wrong chart. Hold on, why didn't it work? Refresh. It just takes forever for him to get the charts working. But he had this radar image, which was a recorded image of about 35, 40 seconds. I put it in the show notes. And you see Dorian swirling, and he has a whole bunch of comments about the winds at the top and different altitudes, which I won't get into. But then you can see clear as day, shooting across the southern part of the Florida Peninsula, a black band that shoots right into the bottom part of Dorian and kind of starts to whip it. Almost like if you had a top and you wound a rope around it and pulled it. So this was kind of whipping it as if it was to steer it in some direction. I don't know what it is. He doesn't know what it is, but it's very clear, and I don't think he's a faker. It's very clear that something was pushing this thing. So in a way, I don't know if it was man-made. It could be. I mean, we've been under the weather modification and weather as a weapon is nothing new. And then to see this thing bop straight towards St. Lucie nuclear power plant was interesting. And that was the path Trump thought it was going to take, and he even drew a little extra on his map. But then it just careens and goes up the coast. It was interesting. But, so when she says man-made, I believe her, only not in the context she's saying it.
When I was growing up in the Caribbean, we would get really dangerous storms once a decade. And now we're beginning to see them regularly. The Virgin Islands was hit by 2 Category 5 storms only 2 years ago, while President Trump indeed was our president. Category 5 storms, Irma and Maria in 2017. And to see now that the coverage is saying things like Dorian is going to hit the United States later today is incredibly insulting, and ongoing an insult to the people of the United States Virgin Islands, because Dorian hit the United States Virgin Islands on August 28th when it hit St. Thomas and St. John. It's, as Dr. Campbell said, it is quite ironic and saddening that the people who are most vulnerable to these man-made storms are the ones who in all cases are not the contributing factors to the carbon emissions that are causing these storms. These storms are being caused in huge part because of capital, U.S. North American capital, and places like the Virgin Islands and the Bahamas are the ones that are most vulnerable to these things.
Orange man bad. It's just capital. It's capital. Man-made. Though the big term now amongst the climate change deniers, who of course also deny the Holocaust.
I'm still befuddled by that clip. This was Amy Goodman.
Yeah.
On Democracy Now!, if I'm not mistaken,
yes.
right?
Yes, correct.
And she has this nutcase come on and talk about this.
Yeah.
And she doesn't say anything like, well, where'd you get this information? What makes you think so?
Why would she do that? It's on brand. It's on message. You're going to mess it up.
It's just beyond me.
Well, you watch
People
Amy a lot
listen
more
to
than
this
I do.
crap is the problem.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Anyway, go on.
Well, I was just going to say the term now amongst the climate change deniers is thermodynamic equilibrium. And there's been...
I never used that term. I think I would be in that category.
Well, you're behind the times, my friend. There's been several scientific papers showing that the Earth at this very moment is in complete thermodynamic equilibrium, meaning we have the right temperature for what we need. Don't ask me how they arrive at this.
Where does this come from?
Yeah,
this is like
science.
man-made hurricane.
Science. No, that's a real thing. It's got a wiki page and everything. You know it's real then.
Oh, then it must be real.
Yeah, well, I'll read it to you. Thermodynamic equilibrium is an axiomatic concept of thermodynamics. Sounds legit.
Concept.
It's
keyword.
It's an internal state of a single thermodynamic system or a relation between several thermodynamic systems connected by more or less permeable or impermeable walls.
Oh, there you go.
Whatever. So, but I'm just telling you what the term is. So
so
you don't have to go looking at it yourself.
Sounds like a bogus term if ever.
But when just to finish it, when I saw that 10 hours, I mean, they were like the high priests of the Church of Climate. It's the green religion. And it's true. And people are really, I don't think they're acting. They're really all in.
Well, I don't think they're acting either. It does happen at some levels where some people do act, but I don't think any of these people, these weak sister candidates for the Democratic Party nomination, I think all of them are all in, with the possible exception of Biden. And then Biden blew his eyeball out.
That's and I think that was real. That he got a bloodshot eye, and it's a symptom of all kinds of other stuff. And medication can cause it.
Well, somebody suggested my suggestion to get his energy up a little bit. They gave some speedballs, a couple of shots of this and that, and he got his blood pressure up and blew out an eyeball.
Oh yeah, that would be it.
It would be. He guy's all jacked up on something. Benny's he's jacked up and talking like a madman. He's talking about climate change and going on, and boom, his eyeball blows out. I mean, this can happen.
Yeah, it's not very healthy, though, and it's not being addressed.
I don't think so. I'm getting so much blood pressure that it blows out your eyeball.
It's not healthy.
I mean, holy, it probably doesn't have a spring on it. It's unbelievable.
It's not healthy at all. Poor Joe.
Then again, they could have just drugged him to get the eyeball to blow up to make it. I think this guy's not going to be the nominee.
What did you think of his performance overall?
I didn't watch it.
Oh, I'm
All
sorry.
I saw was the eyeball blow up.
Yeah. He was not good. He was just not good. He's not good. Yeah, it's sad.
He doesn't want the nomination. He's just doing it as kind of like a favor to his one son who died.
But that's a horrible. It's a horrible way to go out. He could have been, the man who stood by Barack Obama's side. Now he's the guy with the blown out eyeball. Sad. I'm sad for Joe. I don't like this at all.
Well, he's not, and he's doing like he's not even kempt. No. He's unkempt. He's bald. He used to have fake hair, and now he's just bald. If he had anything going on, he'd be wearing a wig, and he would have started wearing it years ago when he had his plugs.
The cool thing is that he has the same sickness that Trump has, is, saying things wrong, getting them wrong, repeating things that were wrong, saying something opposite of what he said yesterday. It's kind of a thing, and maybe that's just age.
I don't think so. I think it's a style mixed with age. Biden was this way.
It's a style.
But you have to remember.
I'm going to be full of shit. It's my style.
Yes, that's it. So Biden, if you recall, did run for president. I think it was
a couple of times. Didn't he run a couple times?
Way back before Barack. And
right.
I mean, back in the 80s, I believe he ran.
Right.
And he was the same full of shit guy back then.
Yeah.
Before he was old.
He's kind of, you're right. He's kind of back where he was now. Hasn't really changed that much.
Yeah, he was a plagiarist, and he also said he got some degrees he never got. He was actually humiliated out of one of the races for lying about his college education.
Oh, I remember that, yeah.
And
he should be canceled for that.
What's changed? Nothing.
He should be canceled for that. Cancel him.
No, they don't even. They're letting him do his own thing, I think. I think everyone knows he's not going to make it. And we all know who the nominee is going to be, and it's starting to appear, I think. It's starting to very slowly move into the public consciousness. Hillary.
Yeah.
I've been saying it since day one. And I haven't changed my shtick on this. I
No,
stuck with it.
I
and if you look
agree.
at my list of the nominees and who's running and who's going to win, I keep Hillary on there, whether she's on the podium or not.
It would, timing is everything. I think if Joe pulls out, she swoops in. We already removed Gillibrand, which is good. You can't have someone else coming from New York. Yeah, she's the Hillary clone, so that's an obvious spot. So it does free up some space. But a biggie would have to go, and Joe would be obvious. I think Elizabeth Warren, there's a lot being put, especially her. There's a lot being put on her by the media.
The media, I think, have picked her up as the leader because they don't. Kamala's a loser. She can't pull it off, and she's not gonna. And she's giggles, and she's got a stupid. But she doesn't know what she's talking about anything. Yeah. So she's done. And I mean, somebody may still think she can win. I mean, including Scott Adams, who predicted her some time ago, and he's sticking with it.
Well, he's pretty good at these things.
Who picked her for some time ago.
Yeah.
But she's got no prayer. Warren is the new chosen one by the media, but if Hillary comes in,
goodbye.
Hillary just blow Warren out of the water.
Liz. Yeah. But Hillary is still not well. There's pictures of her out and about, and you can see she's retaining water. Her ankles are incredibly swollen. Yeah. No, they're not cankles. She has swollen ankles. It happens when you have illnesses.
It happens.
Yeah. Anyway. Quick. I'm sorry. Well, I was going to follow up on the shootings we had in Texas recently, and I do that for a number of reasons. Mainly on my birthday, my buddy in Holland called me from live on his morning radio show, and so we're yucking it up. And then he's like, "Well, I got to ask you the question everyone wants to know. What's going on with all the guns and killing in America?" I'm like, "Damn, it's my birthday. You want me to answer this question?" So it's really worldwide. And I wanted to give a response to that and then follow up with what's going on here after we had El Paso, we had Odessa. So a lot of shooting going on here. The first part, in America, now I've lived in many countries, and the only country I've ever lived in where the citizens had a right and also owned guns, and we have hundreds of millions of them in the United States, is the U.S., and I've lived in the Netherlands, I've lived in Belgium, I've lived in the U.K., and I'm going to make it very simple for people who are outside of the U.S. Our country was founded on kicking a government's ass with guns. The Brits. They said, "Nah, look, we want to go here. Leave us alone." They didn't leave us alone, so we fought them and we shot at them. And they shot back and we won. So it's founded on the concept of having guns is a good idea if the government's a problem. We have the Constitution, and in there it says very, very specifically that the people, if they're tired of this shit, then they can form a new government. Well, how do you do that? Well, you can't do it without guns, because in every country I've been in, the grasp, the closing in, the notices, the letters, the forms, they keep pushing you down and down and down. And in the United States, we have one ultimate deal, which is we have guns. So if you really push us too far, you, politician, will not be able to walk anywhere because we're everywhere. And that's the only reason we really have the guns. I'm not going to bullcrap anyone about it. It's to be ready to be against our own government. Does that come with risk? Yes. Does that come with crap? Yeah, absolutely. It's not the biggest pool of people dying, but it's really effed up. It's no good. So that's just so if anyone says, "Why do they have guns?" Second Amendment, fine. I'm telling you the basics of what we're about. Would you agree, John?
I would not disagree.
Okay. That's your standard bullcrap answer. I appreciate it. Thank you for the many who emailed. Although we already know, I wanted to know if the AK-47 was sold in the United States as a semi-automatic. Yes, indeed, and it is called the AK-47. There's a lot of copycats, and we may not have mentioned it, but we're very aware, and people should be aware as well, that you can own a machine gun, a fully automatic weapon in the United States, but most don't because it's very expensive. You need a Class 3 permit. You have to get it through the national... it's a tax stamp through the NFA, National Firearms Act, and it can cost $10,000 or more just to go through this process. So it's friction. That's why we don't have them. And it's probably a good thing, although I don't know what difference it really makes, but it's not.
But you can if you're a criminal, or let's say
you can create one. You can make.
You can also jury rig them,
of course. But these are just facts. It's people send me like reams of text and an email explaining that I'm wrong, even though we know this. We've been through this for 10 years and we appreciate it. Yes, it's legal to have an automatic weapon. You have to go through a lot of hoops. Most people don't do it, but there's plenty out there.
And we don't. And people, since you're talking to the overseas audience, there is a difference between an automatic rifle, weapon, machine gun, and an automatic pistol, which everybody owns.
Yeah.
An automatic pistol is not a machine gun. It's just a pistol that cocks itself.
Yeah. The same as an
it's
automatic
called
rifle.
An automatic.
It's called an automatic, but it's semi-automatic. So now we have this topic of background checks. And let me see. I have a clip here that I wanted to play. This is Governor Abbott of Texas with some information that I think has been underutilized by the M5M, but it's good.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott said Monday that the suspected gunman who killed at least 7 people and injured 22 others in a shooting over the weekend had failed a gun background check.
So he had failed a background check at a store, which is how it's supposed to work. But he had received a weapon from a friend. And this is what they mean by comprehensive background checks. But of course, if it's a private sale, the only way you can really enforce background checks on private sales is to have a guaranteed registration of every weapon, and having lists of people. Lists is not a very loved idea, certainly not lists of people who have guns. So that's where the problem is. And obviously, if this guy, because there's all kinds of reports that he was shooting at animals from the roof of his house with a gun that he, whether he had or not, someone should have gone and looked in on and said, and checked to see if he ever failed a background check. And so none of this is done. So it's a lot of lip service, and we certainly could do a lot better. Sadly, the Washington Post reports today, and they only quote sources familiar with it, that HARPA, the Health Advanced Research Project Agency, is working with, of course, the president, the White House, the complete administration, and I'm reading the wording now, in considering a proposal that would use Google, Amazon, and Apple to collect data on users who exhibit characteristics of mental illness that could lead to violent behavior. In other words, a form of social credit score.
Ta-da!
And if this is true, this is a huge problem. But the Washington Post doesn't tell us who said this to him. And so, but the Post is literally calling it a social credit score such as China. I'm flabbergasted. I mean, surely this cannot be a true story. If this is...
They could be making it up. I don't trust the Washington Post anymore.
Well, that's the problem I have is, I don't trust any publication really, but, USA Today is writing about it.
If they quoted somebody, maybe, and used some names instead of just anonymous sources while they're doing something like this.
The concept was advanced by the Suzanne Wright Foundation and first discussed by officials on the Domestic Policy Council and senior White House staffers in June of 2017. So this is maybe very old. But the idea has gained momentum in the wake of the latest mass shootings that killed 31 people in one weekend in El Paso and Dayton, Ohio. The Susan Wright Foundation reapproached the administration last week and proposed that HARPA include a safe home. The stopping Aberrant Fatal Events by Helping Overcome Mental Extremes Project. Oh, God, they came up with an acronym, you dicks. Safe Home. Officials discussed the proposal at the White House last week, said 2 people familiar with the discussions. These people and others spoke on the condition of anonymity because of the sensitivity of the conversations. But you read through this whole article, and they're talking about having some kind of either an app or using data directly from the big Silicon Valley companies to track you and see if your behavior is aberrant, and if you need to be looked into.
That would be half the people that use these things.
Yes. So I'm a little flabbergasted. I mean, I think, look, maybe let's look at a simple one. And I know I'm not happy about saying this, but if we just took one simple example, who's on antidepressants? Here's a question. If someone is depressed, should they have a gun?
No.
Okay. Problem solved. There's your list.
Yeah, go to the drug companies, get a list, or the pharmacies, get a list of everyone on antidepressants and take their guns away. That's a start.
Yeah.
That would do it.
So,
let's check in, by the way. Since we're on the topic, let's check in on China's social credit score update.
Xi Yanying's company has developed a social credit app. It gives China's youth a taste of the benefits one can have with a good social credit rating.
Wait, is this Sargon of Akkad speaking? Sounds like
I'll say this. This is, again, almost what you just talked about, which is this is an app that helps you get. This is the Google stuff. I mean, this is just a disgusting story. And it is, yes, exactly who it is, Akkad.
Xi Yanying's company has developed a social credit app. It gives China's youth a taste of the benefits one can have with a good social credit rating. The Beijing startup collaborated with the Communist Youth League of China to gather personal data from over 70 million young people. The app is called Unique Town. It gives each user a score based on 6 criteria: personal information, volunteer work, social connections, credit history, consumption history, and track record of honoring contracts. The lowest score is 350 and the highest is 800. Users with high scores above 650 can benefit by getting discounts on online courses or even be parachuted directly into the second round of job interviews. But China Youth Credit Management has more ambitious goals when it comes to capitalizing on social credit. It wants to build a system to cover all Chinese citizens between the ages of 18 and 45, an estimated 460 million people.
Yeah.
Yay!
That's the future right there.
Well, we need to fight that. Maybe a quick...
Well, we didn't fight it with credit scores.
No, but we didn't know. And now Credit Karma and other companies of the like are owned by Google. Yeah, we should know. We should know what's going on. This is why you don't want to install these apps. I was watching TV last night with the Keeper, and I said, John and I predicted this at least 10 years ago, because every car insurance company now has an app. You get extra savings for good behavior. So the app sits on your phone. You're required to be a part of the discount program to have the app. The app tracks the app will even know if you're holding onto your phone in the car with use of the accelerometer. It knows how fast you're going. If you brake suddenly, it has all this data. And I'm sorry, you're exhibiting some unsafe behavior, so your premiums are going up. And it's here. And there's no one outraged about it. Oh, this is great. Discount. Good. Best price. Marshall McLuhan. I've heard the name throughout my life. I never really knew who the guy was. He's a Scandinavian. Did you ever follow anything that he said?
I've read everything he has ever written. I used him as a basis for a lot of my college papers.
Holy crap. What's the best book that he's written that we should read when it pertains to Understanding media? So someone sent me a link to a documentary about him. And so this is from 1967. And just 3 topics, but all kind of around the same idea. When we talk about off the grid OTG, I wanted to play that. Here is he's also the guy that came up with the The medium is the message. Was that his quote?
Yeah, that's in the book Understanding Media.
Okay, so that's definitely we have not discussed this book on the show ever that I can recall.
I don't think so.
It should be on the No Agenda book list for sure.
Yeah, it should.
Here he is talking about, now this is before the internet, but not really before satellite. Satellite was out there, and he saw new communications and satellites and how this would affect news.
Well, the satellite system of broadcasting permits, for example, an immediate participation in events anywhere in the world, ending all news reports. What we call a news report is a verbalized substitute for participation in that event. With satellite broadcasting, you just go to the place and participate directly in the sufferings or the events of that area, floods or whatnot. Whether this will tend to create a new kind of news, I don't know. For example, at the present time, what we automatically think of as news is just bad news. If it isn't bad news, it isn't news. If it's good news, it's likely to be PR or advertising. And it takes an awful lot of bad news to sell all that good news that we have to carry in our newspapers and magazines.
And just think of what he's saying here in relation to what we're seeing with news today. So this is 1967. I was 3. This is 52 years ago. This guy was saying this. He's deconstructing it perfectly before it even happened. And now he's going to give us insight into what we're witnessing today on social media, which back in the day was called the global village, the electronic global village. Does that go back to the 60s, that term?
Yeah, that's where it all came from.
You guys were smart back then. Here he is, and listen.
Yeah, but they were toast. Yeah, they made us get stoned so he couldn't remember anything.
Well, here's a little jiggling of your handle.
Global village is not created by the motor car or even by the airplane. It's created by instant electronic information movement. The global village is at once as wide as the planet and as small as a little town where everybody is maliciously engaged and poking his nose at everybody else's business. The global village is a world in which you don't necessarily have harmony. You have extreme concern with everybody else's business and much involvement in everybody else's life. It's a sort of Ann Landers column writ large. And it doesn't necessarily mean harmony and peace and quiet, but it does mean huge involvement in everybody else's affairs. And so the global village is as big as the planet and as small as the village post office. For example, in the age of the information explosion, all the walls go out between age groups, ethnic groups, between family groups, national groups, between economies. The walls all go out. People suddenly have to adjust themselves to this new proximity, this new interrelationship. And merely to tell them that this has happened isn't very helpful. What they need to know is, if it is happening, what does it mean to me? For example, in the matter of, say, automation and jobs.
Screwed.
Well, by the way, that little commentary there reflects on an earlier segment of the show where you got your call from Holland about the shootings in Texas, as if they should care.
Yep.
They're button in.
And they witnessed it as if they were there because they witnessed the video. They witnessed firsthand
Exactly.
That's what he would call satellite. Now, final clip, short. This was very astute when I heard this, and it made me start to think, okay, what exactly are we looking for?
The medium does things to people, and they're always completely unaware of this. They don't really notice the new medium that is roughing them up. They think of the old medium because the old medium is always the content of the new medium, as movies tend to be the content of TV. And as books used to be the content, novels used to be the content of movies. And so every time a new medium arrives, the old medium is the content, and it is highly observable, highly noticeable. But the real roughing up and massaging is done by the new medium, and it is ignored.
Yes. So what exactly is being ignored that is being built with the new medium while everyone obsesses over the old content in the new medium? And with that, I mean cable news clips, Netflix even. Netflix. Netflix, to a degree, they're creating something new, but not really. They're still doing the old content on the new medium, repurposing and producing in similar ways. So maybe podcasting is an example of something that was completely new.
I think what we do, which is a postmodern form of old medium, is exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Which is why we're doing it.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm doing it to stay alive.
Well, it's just part of it. You get to stay alive, but it's just like you fall into it.
Well, I have a feeling
somebody's got to do it.
I have a feeling everyone who's a part of this value for value network is in one way or the other a part of something much bigger than the individual parts. And maybe that's a good time for me to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, the man who put the C in climate erasure, John C. Dvorak.
Well, in the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. Also in the morning, all ships at sea, boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water, and all the dames and knights out there.
In the morning to the trolls in the troll room. Hey, trolls, how you doing? NoAgendaStream.com, where you can check in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's always at least 100 people in there, even the middle of the night. They're talking, they're trolling, they're listening to shows. And we got a ton of great shows. A lot of them happen live. Check it out for yourself. It's free. NoAgendaStream.com. And I'd like to say a hearty in the morning to Darren O'Neill. Hat trick. How could we not give him the hat trick? 3 album arts in a row for episode 1169. That was titled Hockey Stick Hoax. It was just a great collage of buttons, including the discussed Better Dead Than Red, the My Other Job as a Podcast button, You Trigger Me, I'm Scared, and Never Reboot. And there was good art. But let me just take a look.
There was a lot of stuff, but we did have a debate over a couple of pieces.
So a lot of people did the unhoused or the homeless experience, which was like a Disney ride.
Yes.
And I think it was, Mike Riley did a very good version, but it was so, once you look at it in a smaller format, there was just so much going on.
Mike Riley, that was the competitive piece. I thought Mike Riley had a piece that
it was very good.
The fun house, and it was horrible. Actually, it was a gruesome piece, but it was all original art. Very nice piece. Make a great poster.
Yeah, if you blow it up really big and you're just looking at it, it's like, holy crap! What is this?
It was too busy. It didn't pop.
Yeah.
And the difference is that the Darren O'Neill buttons, which were simple by comparison,
popped like a mofo.
Yes, like a mofo.
That's right.
And there's some other stuff. A lot of it was.
I thought Nick the Rat's. We had this comment. He had the scooters flying through the air for Scooter-nado.
Oh, yeah.
But we decided to use Scooter-nado as the opening, and then we had to title it something different. It was very complicated. It's when you think you're done, you still have a lot of work after the show. Everyone's off partying, drinking, smoking weed. You and I, we are just choosing art and coming up with the perfect trio of bits to...
I want to say that one of the pieces from the show, the camping one.
Yes.
By...
that was also very good. Yeah.
I thought that was really a wonderful, incredibly great piece. It wasn't going to look as well as cover art. It wasn't going to pop so much. But I used it for the newsletter so I could at least push it out there.
Yeah, good. Well deserved.
It was just because it's a dynamite piece.
Yes.
It's got all those little signs that you see when you go camping.
It was a lot of signs. Yeah, it was a lot. It was good. It was very good. So thank you for that. And these things really help the show. That's why artists do it. We have 10 times as much artwork as if we'd done episodes. We're over 14,000 pieces of art at noagendaartgenerator.com. But when something like that just pops out, it helps people listen. It reminds people, something changed. We're one of the few podcasts that adhere to the spec as invented, where you change the album art. And I understand it's hard when you don't have producers, but we have thousands of producers. Many of them do things like that. Many of them help the show in other ways, such as supporting us financially. And we'd like to stop in the first hour and pay some respect to our executive producers and associate executive producers. And this is for episode 1170.
1170. Let's thank a few people, starting with Sir Dreb Scott of the ELB Express, who tops everyone with $1,170.55.
Woo!
Woo! I love the consistent deconstruction you guys bring. R.E. Last episode commentary on Disneyland experiencing homelessness ride. They already have a walkthrough ride. All you need to do is stay at one of the non-Disney off-property hotels. You walk by people sleeping in under the streets, on the streets, behind benches, people asking for money, etc. Sorry, it's been a while since my last donation. Anyway, that's the end of that moment of humor. Sorry, it's been a while since I haven't been to the Disneyland down there and stayed in one of those facilities for some time. Sorry, it's been a while since my last donation. I'm coming off of the fog of war of new twins. You got twins to go along with our 2-year-old. 3 kids under 3 at 40.
Woo!
It's no joke.
Partay.
Thanks for the sanity.
No, thank you. He didn't ask for it, but I'm going to hand out a karma here for that.
You've got karma.
Gracias.
Another big donors celebrating your birthday with 55. James Anderson, $555.55 from Vancouver, Washington, which is nowhere near Vancouver, Canada. Forgive me, it's in this near, but not real near.
It's all right.
It's 400 miles away or something. Forgive me, Podfather, I have bonered for far too long. My contribution of 555.55 is the tithing that I can offer to the BPITU today. Best podcast in the universe for the people who are unfamiliar with the code. Happy birthday, Adam. John, you're my idol of technology. As a dude named Ben, I strive for the same amount of skepticism of tech as you, the cranky geek. I even have the T-shirt.
Nice.
It's a collectible.
Yeah.
I would like to. I don't even have one. I would ask for, and I don't send one. I would ask for Jobs karma, but I think it's more important to send goat karma to my son in the Army, currently stationed in Georgia.
Here you go.
You've got karma.
Thank you, James.
And I'm assuming it's Georgia the state, not Georgia the country.
Yeah.
Sir Dwayne Melanson. Oh, where's our team?
I didn't. I'm sorry. I was sleeping.
Melanson. Da, 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 da.
I'm sleeping on the job. Hold on. Where is
555.55 from Tigard, Oregon. ITM, gents, and happy birthday, Adam, even though you forgot my jingle. I love the hockey stick expose. Loved it in the last episode. As two-thirds of my offspring are up in arms about climate change is real. It seems only the podcasts are able to get me or get the word out about the long-term climate cycles. No new Jobs karma, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present the Grand Duke of the Pacific Northwest, Sir Dwayne Melanson.
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Sorry about that, Sir Dwayne. I will be better.
Christopher Dolan. Christopher Dolan, 333.55, which is to commemorate, obviously, your birthday.
Nice.
And he's in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Just a happy birthday, Adam, and Jobs karma, please.
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Roger that.
Honor Cynthia Cabrera in Hallandale Beach, Florida. I didn't know there was a Hallandale Beach.
Looks like it.
330 is probably a cute place. 333.33. I recently began listening to your podcast 3 or 4 or so ago. 3 or 4 so far. Oh, wait. She's up to $333.33 after listening to 4 shows. Hello, people.
Hello, de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
after hearing Adam's comments on vaping and the insane media coverage of the alleged lung illnesses, I felt it was necessary to set the record straight. I've worked on regulatory and legislation vaping issues since 2011. I led what was at the time and still holds the record for the largest vapor trade association in the space. And since departing the organization, I've consulted to companies larger and small. They're large and small. I speak routinely at meetings like all the annual tobacco conference hosted events by the Food and Drug and Law Institute. Goes on and on with their background. The vapor industry is regulated, but no vaping products have been approved by the FDA. In fact, there's very little battle. There's no battle going on.
No, they said a large battle.
A large battle. Oh, man.
You want me to read? This is very small here.
Well, you might. The problem is that this is the one moment that you pick to do the thing where the sun is hitting the base of my monitor.
Of your shaft.
And right into it's a flat base and slamming me in the face.
Okay, so let me pick it up. In fact, there's a very large battle going on whose likely final outcome will wipe out all vapor products on the market. As of May 10th, 2020, any vaping product that has not submitted a PMTA, pre-market tobacco application, will be considered an illegal product. Oh, this is actually some interesting news. This is content here. So to address one of your quotes directly, there are no approved products that have gone through the regulatory process. Juul routinely gets torn apart by the media, the FDA, and the CDC, and every anti-tobacco group out there. Juul has been excoriated by pretty much everyone, so they're not protected or immune from media coverage. I don't work for Juul. Altria took a 30% investment in Juul to the tune of $13 billion, and they don't own the company. Oh, crap. $13 billion, they only have 30%. Can you believe that? In fact, they don't even have a board seat and direct no activities at Juul, including their media coverage. The vaping illnesses being poorly reported on are largely attributed to synthetic THC or backroom type stuff. Yes, we did say that. Not vaping products like nicotine-containing liquids in them. For a very good overview and more, read this article from Vaping 360, and there's a URL. And let's see. The same data claims Juul is responsible for the epidemic of teen vaping, lumped in together nicotine-based products with marijuana-based products, which are used quite a bit amongst teens. It is true that THC cartridge producers do not generally add nicotine to the mix, although such product does exist. If you ever want factual information about the regulatory shitstorm that is about to destroy the vaping industry, please feel free to contact me. You know what? Cynthia, first of all, thank you very much for this. I think we've been following vaporizing for a long time. I went up to the Dallas convention with Dexter, which was a couple of years back. And so this is good to know. And even correcting us on the $13 billion for only 30% of Juul. That what a monstrous company. What a monstrous product.
Well, the thing that's in there is that there's $13 billion invested in the Juul, and then the company that did the investment isn't helping with their PR, which is dreadful.
Yeah.
That's an issue that somebody should address.
Yes.
And the fact that they haven't got anybody on the board, which is probably a bad idea.
Yeah. What kind of
if you got somebody who's just throwing $13 billion around, you put somebody on the board, maybe two people, because they've obviously been successful.
Yeah.
But if she thinks that the whole thing's going to go down the tubes.
Well, what we're going to wind up with is just a few companies who will have sanctioned products. And we kind of figured this out early on, is that it's going to cost them $1 million to go through FDA approval per flavor. So, anyway, so a lot of this is just virtue signaling. There's no regulation yet. So it's all just media manipulation, making it sound like there's all kinds of stuff happening, but it's all voluntary.
Somebody's behind it.
Well, I'm going to say the competitors.
I didn't say anybody was behind it, but when I see the media keep picking up these same exact stories, and so it's like a press release, to the about the lung damage.
Well, I would say this company is behind it because what they're trying to do is
Juul.
Yes, why not? Of course.
They're getting nothing but bad publicity.
They're going to be the only guys doing it legally when all this is over.
Maybe.
No, put that in the book for me. Anyway, Cynthia, thank you. Welcome to the No Agenda producing family, and thank you so much for your support. Let me hand you a karma. Oh, here, this is new for you, so you might enjoy it. A little goat karma. It's a little something special we do here.
You've got karma.
Feels good, right?
Sir Johnny B comes up next with $265 from Sir Johnny B. I love what? I love New York. No Cuomo. I love New York. No, isn't that a reference to some sort of a phrase?
Yeah, it's I love you, no homo. I think.
Oh, no Cuomo. Okay,
yeah,
I get it.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Adam.
Woo!
This is my yearly $5 a week donation and $55 for your birthday. Like what? How much did you give? $265. Okay, well, and $5 for your birthday. Like the cards from. Hold on a second. I did find a way to deal with this reflection. I just put now I notice I moved over and it's coming. It moves as the sun moves. I'd like a Obama. You could die. That's true. 2 to the head. Hillary cackle and a karma for good measure. Sorry not for keeping the 2 to 3 rule. Thanks, Sir Johnny B. Link for link for I love New York. No Cuomo shirt shop. Blathercast.com. Product /
well done, sir.
Sex dash t-shirt dash shirt.
Hey, okay.
you might die.
You've got karma.
I don't know. Whatever came up. I can't help it.
She's got a I love New York, no Cuomo shirt shop. Blathercast.com. You're going to have to dig.
Okay.
Because this is not a URL that's readable.
Right.
Okay. Sir Dave Fugazotto, though, is here. Viscount of America's Heartland and Saudi Arabia. Checks in at $256.19.
These are our buddies who were just here, the whole family.
Yes, you just had the dinner with them.
Yep.
Donation of 55 simoleons for Uncle Adam's birthday from each of us, Dame Isabella and Melody and Sir Dave, me, along with the palindromation to celebrate 9/1/19. Oh, one of the 2 guys who's done that. As they say, family who no agenda together hits people in the mouth together. Request some travel karma as they head back to Riyadh this week. And Adam, thanks again for having supper with us last weekend. The ladies got a kick out of hearing your coverage of the evening on the following show.
I'll bet they did.
Yeah, I'm sure they were amused. It was a real gas. Jingle request. Been a while since we had heard the Gitmo Nation national anthem as well. Play it at the end. Mind queuing that up. Thank you for your courage, for Dave Fugazotto, Viscount of America's Heartland, Saudi Arabia, Dame Melody, and the lovely and talented Dame Isabella. And
of the flashing feet.
Flashing feet.
Of the river dance, I tell you. Of the river dance.
All right, she's the dancer.
She's a pro. Yeah, we saw a video of her dancing. It's cool. Yes. Well, let me just throw him a karma, and we'll get that Gitmo Nation athlete anthem for you.
You've got karma.
At the end of the show. That was the travel karma they needed.
Kevin, I don't know, Caberna?
Yeah, Caberna.
Or Caberna, 255. He just says, happy birthday, Adam.
Well, thank you, Kevin.
Bill Watterson in Pentraith, Isle of Anglesbury, Great Britain. You ever heard of that? No. $250. That's a long ways from here. A little over a year ago, whilst going through a period of frustration with the M5M, a work colleague, Niels van Kujic, smashed me in the mouth.
It's Niels van Kuik.
Niels van Kuik. Well, since then, my newfound clarity of thought and reasoning has nearly gotten me beaten up by what I formerly considered normal people, and my friends are astonished at my apparent overnight overnight switch to an extreme far right.
Oh, God. Welcome to the family, Phil. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, you say something. Yeah, global warming's bullshit. Hey, yo, mother.
Far right.
I've since...
It's not who we are.
I've since learned enlightenment is dangerous and careless talk costs lives, probably your own. As a symbol of my great gratitude to one of the finest men I have had the fortune to meet, I would like my donation to be added to Neil's account, which will bring him to knight status. I hereby pledge allegiance, Sir Jack Daniels of Enstone. Curry Dvorak, you're doing a great thing. Phil Watterson. Okay, well, this is not on the list.
Well, I got it. No, I got a note from Eric about that. And he says, happy to do it, but we just need because, we don't track everyone's accounting. It's the honor system. And why wouldn't we? We're one group. So we just need Niels to send his numbers in. Not that we don't believe you. We just want to make sure that we do it right. So if Niels can send
and we
in,
give him if that's the title he wants. We have no,
I also don't know if that's the title he wants. Exactly. Second reason.
So it's in abeyance.
Yes. But thank you very much.
Officially in abeyance.
Thank you very much, Phil. Karma for you. Welcome, my friend.
You've got karma.
Be careful with him.
John Foley out of Chicago comes with $232.55, which is tribute to the birthday. Jingles, he's got some jingles. Yeah. Reverend Al Respect, Go Karma, and that's true. Yeah, in the morning. Happy belated birthday to Adam, and happy actual birthday to me. It's my first time in the first half of the show, and in other words, first executive producer.
Excellent. Yes, excellent.
And I want to say thanks for keeping me sane and such. A little unconventional and a bit brash, but can I call out Sir 10T? I guess it's 10T as a douchebag.
Yes, you can.
Douchebag. Sir, you can't be a douchebag.
Got to be careful. He can do whatever he wants. He has to deal with him tonight.
If only for the fact that tonight he'll be cheering for there's a football game on tonight. Because he's going to be okay. We'll hold on a second. Stop the show. We have talked about this before. He's cheering for the Packers over the Bears. So this guy's a Bears fan. The Bears. He says, this is suboptimal. John, any early Super Bowl predictions? The Rams will be in the Super Bowl, and this time they'll win. That's an early prediction. I haven't seen one game.
Wait. Don't I get to predict anything?
Well, you can predict all you want, but he didn't ask you. But let's back up a second. We're not doing douchebag call-outs for sports teams one way or the other.
Yeah, I didn't realize
we made that a policy sometime
I didn't
back.
realize that.
You hit the button because you didn't realize what the follow-up was. Yeah, I don't blame you. But I'm just telling everyone out there, so let's don't start douchebagging the different football, baseball teams. It's not part of what we're doing it for.
No.
Because for one thing, douchebagging the Packers isn't going to get us, it's not going to drive anyone from the Packers. Oh, I got douchebag. I've got to donate to the No Agenda show. They don't do that because nobody at the Packers, the Green Bay Packers, not one person on that team listens to this show.
Which is abhorrent when you think about it.
It is. It's ridiculous, but true.
So they don't want the rings. Okay. Well, thank you very much, John Foley.
Yeah, you're on the list for birthday.
And he has the jingles.
He's getting lunch at Chipotle. The tortillas in the race. Kim Kardashian, Sigourney Weaver, R-E-S-P-I-C-T. They're all jitty. R-E-S-P-I-C-T. There's no real conflict. Resist. We much. Resist. We much. We must. And we will much about that. Be committed.
You're the president and you're sitting across from me right now.
That's true.
I produce more than I promised. True.
It's true.
That's true.
It's true. It's true. It's true.
That's such a true story.
Sorry.
I like that bit, except it kind of craps out.
Yeah, it ends poorly. I should have faded it out. That's a good one.
Sir Lucas of the Lost Bits comes in for $225.22 from Tacoma, Washington. Sir Lucas of the Lost Bits, not overboard, just trying to get a down payment on a house together. However, it is a 3-paycheck month.
Woo!
Jingle request. It's Trump. It's Trump the president. It's Trump the, you know what that means. It's a song. Any Obama, no, no, no. And Putin, don't worry, be happy.
Okay.
Trump,
and Putin.
Trump the president.
What?
That's the song.
He's Trump, the president. I've been watching you.
No. Come on, where was I? No. Hey, listen, I love you back.
Don't worry. Be happy. Don't worry. Be happy.
David the Goose, the Geus. I don't know how to pronounce that necessarily, but I do know how to pronounce Ypsilanti, Michigan. That's where he's from. $204.20. Cyborg Dave is his real name. He needs a random Manning and a random Fletcher. Thank you for providing sanity in this insane world. Shout out to the Troll Room. Big ups to Nick the Rat and Sewer Chat. Hash Brown's Sewer Chat. Tip of the hat to Hog Story. P.S. Adam, did you get the mix I sent?
I don't know which mix that is. I've gotten a lot of mixes, so I'd need to know what the mix was. Probably.
He's a Mac Daddy. Donald.
You've got karma.
You ask, we play.
I like that, Donald. And last on the list, dude named Craig, FEMA Region 5 in Warrensville, Illinois, which I assume is FEMA Region 5, and $200. John and Adam, ITM, please de-douche me.
Yep. Yeah, there you go.
You've been de-douched.
He needs his jingles. There's another guy doing the jingles at the beginning. Now, this is really interesting that on this show that really is the theme.
Mm-hmm.
So he's looking for a That's True, a triple. That's true. I've been listening since the end of 2017 and have since hit my brother Scott in the mouth. Please call him out as a douchebag.
Oh, okay.
Douchebag. That's for you, Scott. But also give him a jobs karma as he continues to seek out his dream job that I know he'll get and because he has an upcoming interview. I'm a 30-year-old millennial and hate being called as such. I don't want a handout. I'm not attached to my social media or smartphone. Just know that there are some aberrations out there, or outliers as we'd call them, out there, and they're proud and living life in a better way.
No, stop. They're not out there. They're here. They're in this group where you are. The ones that are not crazy and all in are here.
Most of them. But I do enjoy making fun of us. It's too easy. Well, we do too.
That's true.
Everybody does. It's true. My consistent listening has finally, turned into an atomic habit, and gives my life what's an atomic habit? And gives my life so much balance. So I sincerely thank you two for your courage. Also, I constantly tell my smoking hot girlfriend, Kristen, about subject matter from the show. So give her a shout out just to say that means a lot to me that she keeps listening to me vent. Is she listening to the show?
I don't know.
Shout out to Kristen.
Hey, Kristen.
When we met on our first date, I told her about the show.
Oh, God.
Okay, let's stop.
Stop. Okay, hold on. Let's give some dating advice here. Yes. We need to do something, Dvorak. Come on.
Do not discuss the show on a first date.
Ever. This is a bad idea. I mean, you might get enough clues by the end of the evening.
Unless she's some Hillary hater that is just maybe a right-wing gun nut. And she there are certain women out there that, you can talk about the show immediately. and they'd be very happy to hear about it. But generally speaking, that's not the normal person you run into.
No, this is bad policy.
It's bad policy. Yeah. Anyway, I told her about the show, and she seemed intrigued and not triggered or annoyed.
Okay,
Well, she liked
right.
you, maybe. Is that possible that she would just go,
Maybe you're just a sexy man. Who knows?
So I knew it was something to definitely pursue.
You're like, this guy's got money. I don't care what tinfoil hat stuff he's talking
she
about.
Passed the NA sniff test, so to speak. Yeah, well, you're doing that wrong. Here's to hoping you do not find an exit strategy. Dude named Craig, FEMA Region 5, Chicagoland.
Oh my goodness. Okay, and also a jobs karma for your brother Scott and the...
That's true. That's true. That's true. Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
All you got to do is ask.
And that concludes our list of executive and associate executive producers for 1170.
One of the top donation segments that we've done. I love the content. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Great showing by our royalty, our knights, our dames, and some new people. This is the way it should be with the executive producers and associate executive producers who all deserve the title you've now received as an exec or associate exec of the No Agenda Show, episode 1170. Thank you so much. Wear that badge with pride and know that you are supporting the work that all of us work towards collectively as a part of our Value for Value network. And we'll do it again on Sunday. Go to
Dvorak.org/NA.
There's no doubt you know more about vaping than most, so go out there and, I don't know, propagate.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth. Order.
That's true.
Shut up, slave.
Boom.
Yes, boom.
Okay.
Yes, okay.
Well, I've got some stuff that there's a guy that does a kind of a financial, I don't know, it's a video podcast. It's for investors mostly. It's a guy's named Kyle Bass. And
I saw this is the guy in the hangar.
Yeah, the guy in the hangar, the unknown hangar.
I thought it was interesting that you went back to the Bannon interview we played clips from, and you pulled more clips from it.
Well, I went the Bannon one. The one I sent to you was this Chinese guy.
But it's the same interviewer, right?
Yes, same guy.
Yeah.
And the guy's an expert in
banking, Chinese banking, and
Chinese banking, currencies, banking, currency exchange, currency trading, that kind of thing. He's a very interesting guy. He's not quite. He took on Bannon, Steve Bannon, and Bannon has a very interesting hour-long spiel that he gives. And I've talked about it before, and I've kept wanting to get clips from it. But in this case, this guy was better at drawing Bannon out.
Excuse me. You do know it's Banyan.
Banyan.
Yes, Banyan.
To draw Banyan
Stephen
out
Banyan.
in concise ways. Either that or Banyan has been doing this bit long enough that he's polished his act.
Oh, Mike fall?
Mike came out of its little holder. Hold on a second. Jeez. Let me shove it back in there.
Yes. You okay? You need to shove it back in the hole.
There we go. It's back in.
Okay.
All right. So let's play. I got a bunch of clips. A lot of them are, I don't know how long are these things. They're minute, half minute. There's one that's pretty long, but it's good. Let's start with the summary, a little summary overview. This is Bannon bitching and moaning. Bannon is the number one guy complaining about China. And I believe within these clips there'll be at least 2 or 3 things you've never known about before, and you'll find interesting. Not necessarily at the opening. This is kind of a backgrounder.
Party at Davos, the people on Wall Street, what I call the IR departments of China, which are the investment banks, particularly Goldman Sachs and some commercial banks, the lobbyists for China, which is the basically the 25 or 30 largest corporations that deal in China today. They're lobbyists in Washington, D.C. These are all, and by the big private equity guys like Schwartzman, these guys, they're all going to have to be held accountable for what went on in China. What China was able to do in basically coordination with the elites in the West was deindustrialize the industrial democracies of the West, both Europe and the United States. That's why Brexit and 2016 are inextricably linked. What it is the exporting of Chinese overcapacity and Chinese deflation in basic industrial goods. And so China has, and from the Chinese point of view, it's been quite brilliant. They've essentially taken 350 million of their people from kind of working poverty to middle class, and 400 million people from abject poverty to working poverty. So essentially 2/3 of their population, because their population I really think is closer to 1.3 or 1.4 billion than what they say in 1.1. So what they've done is heroic in 30 years, okay, from a strategy point of view. But that has been exacerbated by the elites in the West who basically kind of financed it and brought it along. In fact, the reason Trump was, I think, so special, he said, hey, this is not the way the world has to be.
And just for those who may have forgotten, Steve Bannon on the show known as Stephen Bannon was the Trump's right-hand man when he first got into the White House. And for a while, of course, during the campaign. And then and mostly he's just kind of an intellectual... and he kind of got ceremoniously kicked out. Yes. And he's irascible and he never shaves and he's kind of a mess of a looking guy. He doesn't keep care of himself despite his Hollywood underpinnings. And he owns a big piece of the Seinfeld show and he has Breitbart. The guy knows he's been around. He's got a lot of money and he's been around. He doesn't care. Yeah. But he does hate the Chinese situation, and his claim in general is that it's our bankers, our people that were all part of making China what it is, and he thinks it's a house of cards. It's going to collapse, and it's going to take. Luckily, because if you listen to these other guys, we're not so linked to the banking system over there because apparently the banks are all, according to Bannon, insolvent, and the whole thing is a mess, and it's something. But meanwhile they're kicking our ass in different kinds of ways. So now here's the various different little aspects to this. This one is. And these are all different discrepant clips that don't really connect. There's just one different one after another for informational purposes. Let's try this one. Bannon on Chinese students.
Defense Department report on the infiltration of China into our research universities and our labs.
And our weapons labs.
Weapons labs funded by DARPA, the Air Force. And why haven't we put into place a proper people management process?
I want you to go back because I don't think people understand these reports. These reports are essentially declassified reports that showed that the 300,000 students that are here on student visas, right, and the 10,000 contractors that we have in the weapons labs that, up to, I think it's 2/3 could be intelligence assets, right? And some percentage are intelligence officers or agents.
And they're working in our labs.
This is
on weapons technology funded by our government.
This is political correctness and greed and avarice writ large. How did...
Second time we've heard writ large on this show. Isn't that interesting? Marshall McLuhan used that in one of his clips.
Yeah, he did. He said writ large. Well, we don't use it.
What does this mean?
It means to an extreme.
Oh.
And greed and avarice writ large. How did... contractors, and let's call them out, Booz Allen and McKinsey, all these contractors. How did these contractors on these big government programs get so many Chinese nationals working into our weapons labs? Our weapons labs are at the cutting edge of national security. How did it happen? And so this has got to be done right away. I don't know why. It's been a huge, I think, bone of contention inside the administration. The political correctness of it all. Stephen Miller, the Financial Times of London, leaked the other day that my colleague, Stephen Miller, who's a terrific young man, actually had the plan in place to get all 300,000 Chinese students out of the country, right? A way to cut the visas off right away. Not that we're going to execute on it, but it was even in the thinking, and obviously it got leaked in the times that goes around the State Department, etc.
Right.
Remember, look at all the appeasers. I am so glad. I take great pride that someone like Susan Thornton is now, owns a farm up in Maine because she was part of this kind of, rational accommodationist, this kind of softness in the Defense Department, in the State Department, in our intelligence services that basically went along with what China wanted to do and looked the other way.
Donald Trump don't trust China. China is asshole.
So that's a little tidbit we don't really think about.
No.
Let's listen to Bannon talk about the South China Sea. This is kind of interesting, too.
Oh, this is about the dashed line.
Yeah, a little bit.
One thing I found that was shocking is that the South China Sea, when I was a young naval officer, we went through the South China Sea, guns up, radars up, everything moving. It's called free navigation. We did in international waters what we want to do, when we want to do it, because we're the United States Navy. Okay, we keep the sea lanes free. What I found out now is they got these reeds, everything like that. In China, we only go through in what's called safe navigation. You go through with your radars off, no fire control solutions, like a good little boy. Just kind of go, and you're basically asking their permission to go. The South
China, I was unaware.
The South China, they consider when they lost in the international court, China considers the South China Sea to be an internal sea to China.
I know.
The
nine-dotted line of 1940.
I think we played this exact clip, actually.
Nine-dotted line.
It's a joke.
They think it's a territorial sea.
I know.
They are not prepared. The first thing they'll tell you, that the territorial integrity and the sovereignty of China is not to be questioned. Not to be questioned. And they consider that non-dot line, the more people put it into documents, the more people put it on TV shows, the more people that re-infer that meme they want, because they believe that that's reality.
Yeah.
You ask me what's going to happen? The South China Sea, I said on my radio show 5 years ago, would be in a shooting war.
Shooting war.
Okay.
Okay, let's go on and listen to this one. This is kind of interesting. This is another thing I didn't know anything about. The Confucius Institute.
Oh, I thought we talked about this. It's big on tinfoil hat shows. The Confucius. This is an Alex Jones topic.
One more issue is the Confucius Institutes.
Yes.
The Confucius Institutes are on many of our colleges. They're funded directly by the PLA.
Yeah.
Why do our colleges allow Confucius Institutes?
It would be like in China. Having something funded by the CIA that was directly...
Or the Catholic Church.
Or the Catholic Church. Well, not the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church has cut a deal that lets China... No, but this is a huge issue. Pope Francis just cut a deal that lets the atheists that run the regime in Beijing actually pick our bishops. So the Catholic Church would not be a good idea since they've already kowtowed. It would be equivalent of having CIA, DNI, have a student center that promoted CIA culture, right, to
China.
In China.
Yeah.
Okay, that ain't happening.
Yeah.
Okay, you know why it's not happening? Because the Chinese say, hey, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen because that may affect our sovereignty.
Well, so give me a practical...
You got to unwind them.
How?
I think you just sit there and you got to shut them down.
Okay.
Right. I don't think there's any way.
Under what law?
I think, hang on, this whole thing about people are saying, oh, well, they're not that bad. They're pushing culture and they're helping students learn Mandarin. Hey. They're financed by the PLA.
They have server rooms in the Confucius Institutes. What the F's going on?
All this is going to be a shock to the American people. Here's why the American people don't know this. Because nobody reports it.
Oh, no. Some people do. In fact, I do want to counter that. Although not completely in China, the National Endowment for Democracy, which is what he should have used as an example, is all over Hong Kong. And we spent millions of dollars spurring Hong Kong freedom on, particularly in the most recent events. So it's not like it has to be CIA.
I mean, I'm gonna call you out on this. That's Hong Kong.
I said it's not China proper.
And by the way, we should be doing that.
Really?
It's the only good work we've been doing is getting these. If we have, I question whether we really have much influence on these riots.
Well, I got to tell you that I got
or protests. They're not riots.
I got a couple of notes from producers who said, the extradition bill, which now has been canceled, won't make any difference. This is something else. The rents have risen 300% in 5 years. People are starving. They can't. It's shit. It's all kinds of corruption. There's, this whole extradition bill was really about getting corrupt bankers hauled back home to take care of them, because all of Hong Kong is one big scam. It's a big financial scam, the way I read it.
Well, it's they do talk about the liquidity issues with the banks and the big banks, or all the big Chinese banks are in Hong Kong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the whole China's a complete scam from the sounds of these guys.
Yes, but when you're living in Hong Kong, you're getting a taste. You're getting a taste of what it's really like. You were born and you had nothing to do with the agreement. So go away. No, I understand the problem in Hong Kong.
Well, the last clip is another obscurity, and this is a little interesting one. Just play the Alaska's banning on the bat tax.
The most elegant idea was the border adjustable tax, which was immediately killed by you and I both know who.
I love that one.
That was perfect, in my opinion.
But now, by the way, the audience,
are not
I am a huge believer that, and I'm, Paul Ryan and I've had our differences. When he first walked me through that, I said, that's the solution.
Exactly right.
That's the solution.
It's kind of an egalitarian way of going at it.
I think, and we all know why it got crushed.
Yeah.
I think that is something that should be brought back up and very quickly in future years.
We could do away with tariffs if we imposed a border adjustable.
You got to explain the border adjustable tax. I'm not quite sure.
I knew you'd ask.
Yes, I don't understand.
More importantly, it seems to me who crushed it, so I had to do a little research to figure that one out, because it has been suggested. It's really called a border adjustment tax, is the BAT.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll read from Investopedia. Border adjustment tax is a short name for proposed destination-based cash flow tax on imported goods, also referred to as border adjustment tax, destination tax, or border tax adjustment. In this scenario, exported goods are exempt from tax, while imported goods sold in the United States are subject to the tax. So there's no tariffs. It's just the tax.
It's the same thing. It's the same damn thing.
No, it's not. No, tariffs tariffs are before you pay. In this case, the difference is you go to the store and they have one of these products and you have to pay this tax. You pay.
Oh, with the bat tax?
Yeah, border adjustment tax levies a tax depending on where the good is consumed.
Oh, so it's like a VAT tax only for certain products.
It's exactly like a VAT tax for imports.
Oh, well, that's an interesting.
For example, if a corporation tries to, and then it gets complicated when you go back and forth with car parts and stuff like that. But it's pretty much been worked out, and it was first introduced in 1997 by economist Alan Auerbach, who believed that the tax system would be in line with business goals and national interests. This thing was killed by the Koch brothers.
Yeah, duh. Of course, that doesn't behoove them.
Well, it doesn't behoove a lot of people, but it was there's some politicos and the Koch brothers. And, the Koch brothers don't come up in the conversation much because everyone still tries to, they try to bring this, the Democrats try to bring this nonsense about Citizens United and the Koch brothers into the picture when neither one of those groups, the Citizens United thing or the Koch brothers, the Koch brothers were sending all their money against Trump. And since you can't associate Trump with the Koch brothers because they don't like him and they've never supported him and they've never given their money, even though apparently whatever they give their money to, they win, but they didn't. And all this stuff about Citizens United, it didn't affect Trump one way or the other. And so the conversation has dropped a little bit about it, but they'll bring it back in. But the Koch brothers they're not working in good faith with the American public, even though they're libertarians and they have all these high ideals.
Well, and then David Koch dies 2 weeks ago. There's no retrospectives. There's no thank you from PBS that I saw for supporting.
And I think he was the big PBS supporter.
Yes. But now it's just Koch bro. We don't have Koch brothers.
Actually, there's actually a couple other brothers.
Yeah, but that's not funny. So it's Koch bro.
But yes, in fact, the Koch brothers are huge supporters of PBS, the NewsHour, and everything in between. And yes, they should have given him a tribute, but no.
No, of course not.
But the guys are like sketchy. But okay, whatever. I don't care.
But now, just for a second, back to the BAT. Instead of a value-added tax, it would be a border-adjusted tax. And I think automobiles, they do know exactly what percentage is German. If you look at a Mercedes, for instance, parts of it's American, some of it's Chinese, and those are broken down on new vehicles. I do know that, and so those bits are taxed differently. But that is before the consumer sees it. So it's an interesting idea. Should I be against this? I kind of like the idea of, well, you can buy this product or buy this imported product, and here's where you have to pay extra because it's imported.
Yeah.
That's an interesting piece of friction to add to the mix.
Well, it adds a little barrier to entry for the product, but at the same time, it gives you a realistic look at how value is this product. I mean, for example, they're going to put the tax on cheese and wine from France at some point, because they always can do that.
Yeah, of course.
And so you got your bottle of wine and you look at the price, and the curious thing, I bet you with the tax added to the bottle of wine, it's still going to be cheaper than you're going to get it in France.
And that's in Europe, the prices advertised always include the value added tax. So I don't think it's not. In fact, it's very uncommon, like in the United States, where you buy something and then there's 5 cents sales tax or 8 cents sales tax, and that gets added on at the end. So you wouldn't necessarily, it would just be more expensive, and they could specify, this includes X percent of BAT.
Yeah, well, BAT, yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, a lot of people like this, and it's been,
sounds good to me. I don't know. I am drawn to it. I'm sure I'm wrong somehow.
It sounds good to me too. We're promoting it. But
you and me. Okay.
You and me.
Yeah, right on.
Anyway, so Banyan, if you get to see these long lectures, if you can find this one, this is a good one to watch. It's an hour.
Yeah,
and it's with this guy Bass. And it's online. It's from about a year and a half ago.
Kyle Bass, I think his name is.
Kyle Bass, yeah.
Well, let's take a brief break here and go to KTLA's reporter on the spot.
We tried to reach out to the man who died in this pursuit. They were unavailable for comment. Micah, back to you.
What?
Yeah, isn't that great?
Who sent you that?
Well, it's a single piece of video. It's linked to. It's a YouTube video, and it's not edited that I can tell, so it makes total sense.
We tried to reach out to the man who died in this pursuit. They were unavailable for comment. Micah, back to you.
KTLA on the scene, everybody.
All right, you're going to get a clip of the day for
nice.
Putting that on the show.
I didn't recognize I would get that. Thank you. Just to stay on. Sorry?
You knew you'd get that's
actually no. I did not expect it to be clip of the day, but I'll take it. Alan Greenspan made a rare appearance on CNBC, and he had some comments. Now Who is
that guy?
Who is that guy? Well,
how old?
Oh, how old? I don't know. Look at Andrea Mitchell. He's older. Because they're married, aren't they married?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Conflict of interest seems to me, but okay.
But he was always like a mumbler and just. Well, she's on CNN. This is CNBC, so there's not a conflict of interest in this case. So he's on the CNBC shows, and they're talking about the economy, because that's what he's supposed to understand. And then this negative interest rates, which we've discussed on the show, which is taking place in multiple countries around the world, certainly in Europe, which in an odd way means if you put money in the bank to save, you actually have to pay the interest, and if you borrow money, if you borrow money to buy a house, they actually pay you, or you don't have to pay the whole thing back, which is just a phenomenal concept.
I saw a headline that.
Sorry. Yes?
I'm going to say he's 93.
Then he's still pretty chipper, actually.
I'm all in. Yeah,
I'm giving him. This is a gimme then for Mr. Greenspan.
I saw a headline that you were talking about the idea of negative interest rates potentially happening in this country. Do you think that's something possible? And if so, what would it signify?
Well, first of all, what it signifies really is that the world population is aging, and that people are recognizing that they're dying off at a much later date than they originally contemplated when they started to save. And as a result of that, there's been an endeavor to pick up fairly quickly. Like the U.S. Treasury 30-year yield is terrifically useful, I would say, offset to the other things that are going on in the market. It's a real-time asset.
Answer the question.
And one of the reasons the gold price is rising as fast as it is, $1,500 a troy ounce, that's telling us essentially that people are looking for basically resources which they know are going to have a value 20 years from now or 30 years from now as they age, and they want to make sure that they have the resources to keep themselves in place. That is a clearly fundamental force that's driving this, but we don't know how far it'll go.
How far, Chairman Greenspan, do you think it could go? Do you think it could actually visit our shores as well?
Well, hardly likely that it's been, for example, take a look at Japan. You can see it, quite visually as the population goes down. And you can see it pretty much throughout the world. It's just a matter of time before it's more in the United States. And I think the issue here is watch the 30-year U.S. Treasury yield. That's going to tell you what's happening.
All right. I'd be all for it. Pay me. We have a pretty low interest rate on our house, but it can only get better. I'm thinking refi. Refi, pay me. Pay the points.
Yeah, well,
Greenspan said it. He thinks it won't, may not even take that long.
The problem is liquidity drops like a rock as you approach zero interest.
What does that mean?
That means the banks aren't going to give you that loan that you can do your refi with. So you're just not going to get it. Ideally,
Well, between where I am now and negative interest rates, there's going to be someone giving me something cheaper, I presume.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe not. You might be surprised how hard it is to get refi.
Well, then that's no fun.
It sounds good on paper, and it's always was a very simple process. But more recently, they talk about the interest rates on housing should do this and that, but you can't shake the money loose from these guys.
Bastards.
And you're definitely not going to shake it loose if there's negative interest rates because the banks are making money. Because they take in X amount, say $100,000, and then there's a negative interest rate, so they're just chipping away at it and putting it in their own coffers. They're not going to loan it to you.
So that would cause a housing crisis because no one can get a loan to buy a house, and then we get stuck.
Definitely cause a housing problem.
And then we. I know the answer.
They're saying that all hell is going to break loose, and you're going to need a Bitcoin.
Yeah, you're going to need a Bitcoin, son. I stay with CNBC for a moment. Joe Kernan, who is the older, well, he's not even that old, but the older host on that morning show, and who seems a little befuddled from time to time. He's become a Bitcoiner, and I'd say he's believing it.
Okay.
What, you don't think so?
No, I don't watch this show. I have no idea whether he believes it or not.
Well, then why?
But I can see people doing it. I mean, there's a lot of true believers on the Bitcoin. I mean, I think Max is.
Max
but
is.
I think he's sincere.
We all know Max is Satoshi. Let's leave it where it is. So this is Mark Mobius, famous investor, and he gets into this short exchange about Bitcoin, and is it worth? And what happens is, they both end up realizing that, holy crap, Bitcoin is not that much different from anything else that we're peddling on this channel.
Do you think that there are cryptocurrencies that have inherent value, like digital gold? Do you think Bitcoin, for example, has inherent value?
If there's a cryptocurrency that is really backed by gold, and that is there is a meaningful agreement and some kind of monitoring of this connection, then this could be quite interesting.
That would be
a global currency.
That's not I don't see any of them yet. That would be a no then, is what you're telling me, because there are people that think that blockchain itself imbues the asset with inherent value, which is that why they call it digital gold. But I mean, we seem to be okay with a lot of fiat currencies that aren't backed by gold. I don't know. I guess it's the full faith and credit of the government, but nothing's backed by gold anymore except ETFs. I don't know. I mean, why would
that's right.
if you needed something backed by gold, why would you have any faith in any fiat currency then?
No, the bottom line is that there's a whole generation of people who have faith in the internet. They have faith in these cryptocurrencies. That's all it takes. The reason why people believe in the U.S. dollar is because they have faith that with dollars in their hands, they can buy something. So the degree to which a cryptocurrency can enable you to buy something and you believe that to be the case, then it's fine. But I think people are going to begin to realize that these are very, very risky situations. And by the way, I believe blockchain is a very high risk situation. You know, a lot of people say, oh, blockchain can't be broken into. No, it can be. Anything that's created by man can be broken into, and it could create a big crisis. So I think we have to be very careful with blockchain.
Okay, Mr. Techno Wizard. I think this is a seminal clip. Both of those guys realized while they were talking, that's why he threw in some blockchain nonsense at the end, that they're full of shit. The dollar's no more or less dependable than the Bitcoin. In fact, I would argue it's less dependable because a bunch of Yahoo jabronis in charge of stuff. So I like that clip.
Well, if you really honestly believe that, you should take all your money and put it in Bitcoin.
I have been stacking sats for quite a while.
Okay, good.
Ever since I proclaimed to be a maximalist, I do that. It's you and I have an agreement. We don't take Bitcoin as donations. But I certainly convert, a little bit every month. A little bit I convert into Bitcoin. So I started doing it around 3,900 when I maximalized. And look at where we are today. So that's triple the money.
Yeah,
I got $50. I got $50 now. So I'm very, very happy. But I think it's a seminal clip.
Bitcoin.
I was supposed to go a little better than that. Here we go.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
Well, we got a few people to thank for show 1170. I want to start, and I'm going to turn it over to you when we get down to the happy birthday, Adam list.
All right.
Because it's a pretty good list. We got a lot of people that came in with 55, 55, or 55, usually 55, to say happy birthday to Adam. But not Dame Andrea. She came in with $110 from Rocky Mountain House in Alberta, Canada. And there's a bunch of people, I will say, that tried to get in it. They had different kinds of monies, and then it was turned out to be birthday included, but a lot of these I'm not going to get to. John Rowe, anyway, she came with $110.
I just want to read her note quickly. She's a dame after all. Dame Andrea and Sir Kelly are driving 300 kilometers to the Calgary meetup. We want more Southern Alberta producers at this Friday's meetup. 300 kilometers. Nice.
Good on you. John Robinet, $100, no comment. Paul Arsenault, and he says, please help Darren O'Neill become a knight. Fellow knights, pitch in and help Darren to rise to knighthood. So we assume that this $100 is for Darren O'Neill's knighthood.
Okay.
Although he never says that.
Someone else
Baron
has to track it.
Comes in with $100. Richard Hillenbrand, 9119, and I believe it was either him or somebody else who tried to spin off 55 for your happy birthday, so he's a happy birthday guy. It was either that or, I think it was Richard. Sir Salverin in Silver Spring, Maryland. What is this? He says, I haven't listened or donated much lately, wanted to make up. Like some work. Okay, he's got some karma coming at the end. Sir Brent, the trusted integer, 91, and he's also this is the one where he says, okay, this guy was saying happy.
Yes. Well,
happy birthday to Adam, happy birthday to me, and his total is wrong.
Well, but he has 55 for my birthday and 46 for his birthday.
Yeah, which doesn't come to 91; it comes to 101.
Oh, you're right. Well, there you go. Math?
Well, he came with a later note saying, oops. Sir Brian Lawson, White Knight of the Rainbow Nation, 5569. So it's kind of a happy birthday thing. And so is Chuck Barnett, 5555 from Weaverville, North Carolina. The Wi-Fi Knight on Schiphol is, I guess, still. I wonder if he still does anything there. You probably would know. Paul van Cordelaar and IJmuiden. Cordelaar and IJmuiden came in with 55, which is a happy birthday. Astrid Klein came in out of the blue late.
Dame Astrid,
yes, and she comes in with happy birthday. She's actually the Baroness of the South China Sea.
Yes, of Japan and all the disputed islands of the Japan Sea. Don't say China Sea. The Japan Sea. The Japan Sea.
The Japan Sea.
Japan Sea.
Japansie.
Japansies.
Yeah, Japansie.
You're a bunch of Japansies.
Can't stand ya. Sean Thorpe, 55. Michael Astfalk. 55-33. Stephen Schnabel, 55-10. Double nickels on the dime, but it's also 55. So it's got that in there. And now we have all the $55 donors, and you will thank them for them saying happy birthday because you're taking it from here.
Yes, I will. Dror Bana from Illinois. Thomas Hithaler. These are all 55s. I believe he's in Austria. Edward Chijdi in the United Kingdoms. Raymond Poort. And he says, van harte gefeliciteerd met je geboortedag, Adam. Or as they say here, gratuleren met de. He lives in a dialect part of the Netherlands. We have Ralph Massaro, parts unknown. Stuart.
Hey, by the way, stop. For your birthday party, did you sit in a bunch of chairs against the wall and stare at each other like they do in Holland?
I didn't have enough people to make a full circle. It was more like a semi.
Oh.
Ralph Massaro, I mentioned him, thank you. Stuart Fawcett, Sir Xenonymous, he is in Liverpool, thank you very much. Peter Chong, Lakewood, Washington, and he wants some karma as well. Arthur Gobetz from the Netherlands. Christopher Sharabarak from Ontario, 55 for the Podfather's 55th, from Sir Acid of the Scandinavian Woods, and it probably cost him $200 to send that, so it's appreciated. Miguel Lopez, happy birthday. Miguel is from the U.S. Lloyd Brower, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Jean Leclerc from Luxembourg, happy birthday. Long lives the best host of the best podcast in the universe. Thank you very much. He is known as Sir Quidjibu. Ryan Benson, thank you for the constant infusion. Happy birthday. Infusion of sanity into my family lives. William Gefkin. William Gefkin from New York. Sir Jeffro of the Rock Wall. Happy birthday from our fellow September baby. Oh, we figured out why so many people celebrate a birthday in September. Try this on for size. Happy New Year. That kind of explains it. So now I know what my parents were doing. Sir Eric VM, Sir Eric VM of the Valley. He's a baron. He says happy birthday and aw kittens. Yes, they always work. Jonathan Ferris from Liberal, Kansas. Thank you very much. Andy Watts. He says thank you for your courage. Carolyn Blaney. This is from the Hogcast, I believe, from Toronto. Please read on air. From the friendliest podcast in the universe, Hog Story, hosted by John Fletcher and Carolyn Blaney. Happy birthday, Adam. We love you. Way to get a plug in. You're doing well. Brad King, 55. Vasant Damaraj. September 3rd, my birthday too, turning 42. Add me to the birthday list. Yes, post-birthal, we'll put you on. Lady Dane, happy birthday. Love and light from Lady Dane. Ty Glander from Kirkland, Washington. Sir Josh Mandel, Greenville, South Carolina. Anonymous. Please keep me anonymous. We'll do. Sir Ongai. Happy birthday, you talented... one guy. Happy birthday, you talented mofo. Dave Bozeman in Wilmington, North Carolina. Sam Godwin in San Jose. Mason Berryman in Marietta, Georgia. Roland Ruth in parts unknown. Ray Fleischman in Coral Springs. No jingles, no karma. Miguel Ortiz, have a wonderful birthday. Baronet Chris of North Austin. Happy birthday, almost 3 years ahead of you with mine in October. Please pass karma to my worthy citizen. Will do. Baronet Chris of North Austin. Thank you. Phil Coburn, Warrimoo, New South Wales. 55 years. Yes, indeed. Thank you very much. James Gilkison, from Parts Unknown. Sir Christopher Barron of Buckeye, from Buckeye, Arizona, of course. Matthew Januszewski, Chicago, Illinois. Sir Trofer of Tarporley.
Topher, not Trofer.
Oh, Topher. Oh, yes. Sir Topher of Tarporley. Yes, indeed. Cheshire, Great Britain. Thank you. Baron at Large, from the Baron at Large. Menno Tussenbroek in Heemstede. Thank you very much. Roy Strahan from Australia. And that was, okay, Mike Rinker in Dubuque, Iowa. Sir Other Brother from Norman, Oklahoma. Joseph Finley, Parts Unknown. Scott Moore, also Parts Unknown. Ara Dadarian, Sir Ara Dadarian, from California. Melissa Chastain from Graham, Washington. Larry Hay, Mooresville, North Carolina. Clark Wallace, St. Thomas, Ontario. Sir Knight of the East. Holy crap, how long is it? Dude, this goes on forever. Oh, my goodness. Sir Chris from Arlington, Virginia. Yes. Sir James, Kilo Fox 7, Hotel Victor, Quebec, in Las Vegas.
Did you get Sir Chris?
Yes, Sir Chris, Arlington, Virginia. Sir James did that. Michael Henry in Snellville, Georgia. David Walsh, Carrara, Queensland, Australia. Nicholas Hanna in Indianapolis, Indiana. Karina Catania.
It's a Serena, isn't it? Serena?
I don't
know.
This is hard.
Serena Catania?
Yeah, Serena Catania. Drew Sample, $55 as well. John Tennyson, Eric Huff, Brian Newman, Michael Greer, Shikshini, I believe. Thank you very much. Michael Levin in Brooklyn, New York. Chris Willis, Hendersonville, Tennessee. Yancey Summerour in Houston, Texas. Greg Oleksiak.
Yeah, Alexiak.
Kyle Blank in Houston. Jason Dolan. John Tierney. Dame Gina in Providence Village, Texas. Thank you, Dame Gina. Sir Tom, the Minuteman Knight. Then we have Sir Timothy Brashears, $55. And with this donation, he will become a baronet. And he has a title change coming appropriately. John Hall from El Paso. Sir Craig Porter, Portland, Oregon. 73s to you, November 7. Foxtrot, Sierra, November. Sir Ducifer. Hey, Rob. Thank you. Happy birthday, he says. Guus van Poppel in the Netherlands. He's living in Norway, but with a Dutch message. Gefeliciteerd. Jamie Landry, St. Louis, Missouri, and she turned 43 years old on my birthday as well, the September 3rd, so we share that and put her on the list with belated. Sir Malinowski from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Michael Halby, $55 again. Pedro Gonzalez Arellano from España, 40-hour job week. Karma, please. Yeah, I'll add that at the end for you. David Wynn in Rockville Center, New York. Gabrielle, what do you think that is? Crehelmine? Not quite sure. Anonymous.
Well, that's the one. I have no clue.
Anonymous, thank you.
Crehelmine. I don't know.
Marco Castellano from Guatemala.
Anonymous.
I did anonymous. Marco Castellano. I did.
I didn't hear it.
I did it twice even.
Well, it's because there's another one.
Here's anonymous. There you go. There's another one. Sir Morgan, defender of the Hershey Highway. Happy birthday to you. Deborah Siegel in Cleveland, Ohio. John Carlson, Van Jackson, James Rivers in Junction City, Kansas. Sir John, a.k.a. Red, another anonymous. Sir Rob, Knight of the Philanthropic Shareholders Federation. And that completes the 55 donations for my birthday. I feel loved. Thank you. This is what I do.
Then act it. Go. Woo.
Poo. What do you mean? What do you mean acted? I'm really happy. What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong now?
Oh, I don't know. But next on the list is Francisco Tejeda at 5432. Michael Gates follows him with 5280. Scott E. Knight in Las Vegas, Nevada is 50. And the following people are all $50 donors. Pretty much all wishing Adam a happy birthday. Andrew Owenham in Knoxville, Tennessee. Dame Jamie, I don't know where she is. Another Matthew Januszewski, which comes in obviously from Chicago. So he came in twice.
It's blowing my own horn.
Play it. Villarreal. Michael Janoski in Lindora, Pennsylvania. And finally, last but not least by any means, is Bradley Ledden. And we want to thank all these people for helping this show in particular, because this racks up it keeps the show going, fixes last month's mediocre
efforts. It really balances it out.
And it makes Adam feel better, because obviously this was one of our bigger birthday donations.
Yes. Well, it's a special. It's double nickels on the dime. It's special.
It's kind of, it's a 55er.
Yeah, I even, I forgot about that. I had a, don't I have that? Yeah, I got my own little jingle here. 55! Woo!
55. And as every year goes by, Adam gets more and more
nutty.
Devolved.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you also to our execs and our associate execs who we thanked at the beginning of the show. Thank you again. This is very kind of you. Birthdays, I don't know. For me, they've started to matter a lot less after 50. And she's like, okay, another day, but it's always nice to be recognized. And this is as John said, it helps everything. Thank you for that. And also thanks everyone who came in under $50 and wanted to be anonymous without putting their name anonymous on the list, which is also appreciated. And for those of you on our regular donation subscription programs, your help is also, of course, appreciated. After all, it is your show. It's your podcast. It is the No Agenda Show. And everyone can support for our next program, which takes place on the second Thursday of the week on Sunday.
Dvorak.org/NA.
A couple of karmas as requested.
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Today is the 5th of September, 2019. Birthdays, we're celebrating John Foley today. Sir Brent the Trusted Integer turns 46. Michael Astfalk says happy birthday to his mom. Hey, Mom, 84, not bad. And Kasanth Dharmaraj, 42 on my birthday. We share at 42. Thank you very much, and happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe. Let's do our knighting here. We have one, because we're not so sure exactly. There was one contribution, and we'll get that, for someone else's knighthood, we'll get that squared away. So one blade for one knight today.
Got it.
Perfect. Okay. Scott! He's already got the name Knight in his name, which is kind of cool. Scott, thank you very much for your support of the No Agenda Show in the amount of $1,000 or more. And for that, you now become a member of the No Agenda Roundtable. I am very proud to pronounceate the Sir Scott Knight of the Knight surname. Yes, for you, we have Hookers and Blow, Rent Boys, and Chardonnay. Let's see what else we have on the table for you. We got gerbils and ginger ale. That's always a big favorite. We got some Rubenesque Women and Rosé. And we've got some brisket and barrel-aged copper ale. And, of course, we've got sparkling cider and escorts and mutton and mead. So, Sir Scott, head over to noagendanation.com/rings. Eric the Shill will take care of you and get the ring out as soon as possible so that you can wear that with pride and tweet it out, obviously.
No Agenda Meetup.
Quick rundown of the meetups that are forthcoming. Noagendameetups.com is where you want to find out details about the meetups we list here, or list your own. And I have to say, one thing that everyone keeps talking to me about online, offline. I was hanging out with Sir Gene yesterday. We had lunch. The meetups is a legacy thing. This is legacy of the show. People are meeting each other outside of the show just to hang out with people they know. It's in a weird way, it's a safe space, but it's not, because you're going to see people you never have met. You have no idea what the background is, any age, creed, religion. It's crazy, and they all get along. It's something you have to witness for yourself. September 5th, that is today, Seattle, we have a meetup. Tomorrow, Calgary, Alberta, September 7th in Zurich. September 11th, Orlando. On the 14th, we have Pittsburgh, PA, and El Paso, Las Cruces meetups. On the 20th, Southeast Louisiana, Nelson, British Columbia, Southeast London, and Salem, Oregon. That is a 4 meetup day. The 21st, Eastern North Carolina and in Minneapolis. On the 22nd, in Arlington, Virginia. September 26th, Las Vegas and Luxembourg. San Antonio will be on September 27th. And for the rest of this month, September 28th, Victoria, BC, Copenhagen, and Havre de Grace, Maryland. So those are your meetups. For more information, go to noagendameetups.com. You can look it up there. There's reports from previous meetups. Or if you want, start one yourself.
Come gather round, douchebag, producer and slave, as we all thank your brothers and sisters who gave, and some of them nights, some of them days, for the titles are a-changing.
As we mentioned earlier, Sir Timothy Brashears has upped his game to another $1,000 support for the No Agenda Show, and that gives him the title of Baronet, and we congratulate him with that title, and thank you for your support of the No Agenda Show. It's the best podcast in the universe, according to the Mueller Report. Look it up.
Okay.
Yes, it was long, but there you go.
Long but worthwhile.
And somehow we're still ahead of schedule. It's crazy how that works.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, let's see.
All right, well, we got a couple. There's some news items going on. Well, by the way, I want to do a call back to earlier part of the first donation saying we talk about vaping. We did have a vaping in school report locally.
Tonight, with rising health concerns over
nationally
and vaping, Michigan has become the first state to ban the sale of most flavored e-cigarettes. And tonight we show you how schools across the nation are cracking down hard as students get back to class. Here's NBC's Ann Thompson.
They are back to school at Milford, Connecticut's Jonathan Law High and back to locked bathrooms. Principal Fran Thompson showing us one of the 4 facilities off limits to students to stem what he calls the epidemic of vaping.
In the girls' room like this, they would literally, I can't believe I'm saying this, they would literally set up like blankets. It would be like a little tent city where they would just hang out in the bathroom.
Teachers monitored the other 4 bathrooms, signing kids in and out.
And you think it's made a difference?
I think it's made a difference in monitoring where the kids are. The kids aren't going for 20 minutes out of class. So that's helped. Do I think it's cut down on the vaping? I don't know.
It's a nationwide problem. In Texas, some schools make kids roll up their long sleeves so they can't hide the devices. In Fairbury, Nebraska, they are randomly testing students in extracurricular activities for nicotine. There are vape sensors in Illinois and New Jersey bathrooms.
Like lungs have collapsed.
Back in Connecticut, these students don't vape, but they know who does.
It sounds like a smoker's cough.
Yeah.
And it's disgusting. Disgusting.
Like you'll hear it during their sports practices where they're wheezing and heaving and everyone's doing laps.
What was once high school cool, now with an increasingly high cost.
I'm not so sure it's that different from the amount of kids who were smoking cigarettes in the bathroom back in the day.
Well, when I was a kid, I think this has gone through a series of changes. This is different because it's always different.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, there would be a few bad actors that would go into the bathrooms and smoke cigarettes.
Oh, bad.
And they were always the punks, and they were they're still smoking cigarettes as far as I know. And they were in the bathrooms. And then when I got it, actually beyond college and in the workforce, I heard of the same school. Oh, yeah, no, the kids, they all go in the bathrooms, they smoke dope. So all the kids, there was nobody smoking cigarettes in the bathroom, I was told. They're all in there smoking joints, which I thought was a change.
Okay.
And then it went on, and then now it became they're all vaping, and I don't know what they're vaping because the report doesn't say. Are they vaping nicotine?
That's
are
the
they
problem.
Vaping marijuana? Or are they just vaping smelly stuff?
Well, that is the problem. There's so much, and this is why I believe that all this disinformation is being thrown into the market so one can emerge victorious. It's got to be the $60 billion beast. Because that's about what they're valued at based upon the $13 billion 30% acquisition, 30%, $18 billion. So, yeah, it all comes down to who's making what. You know, if you get your THC cartridges made by some dude, and believe me, I've tried them, I gave it back. It makes me cough the minute I try it. So I don't know what it is, but go away with this stuff. Vaping, no, I haven't had a problem with that. But I get reputable e-juice. And I'm not a big believer in just accepting whatever Juul jams into their ready-made cartridges. I'm not a big fan of that.
E-juice.
Yeah, it's e-juice, baby.
E-juice.
Well, it's e-liquid, but I prefer juice. Because if you can see that juice.
Yeah, is that...
Wait, where is it?
There's a lot of ways you can go with this material, but I'm not going to go anywhere.
Well, let me just get the...
Immediately goes to Israel.
Oh, let me get the...
Oh, my gosh. Can you see that juice?
Yes, it's lovely. Before you go any further, I would like to do a quick update on the Austin unhoused situation.
Oh, yes. That's why high priority.
Yes.
You could do that at the beginning of the show as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, well, it just didn't work out that way. We started with, climate change. What were we thinking? We didn't put this, we blew the lead. So there was another public forum on Austin homelessness, which we call Unhoused on this show. And this was at St. Edward's University. And there was another panel of jamokes and the mayor. But this one finally got rowdy. And this was right after the show was that? I think it was Sunday, wasn't it? Yeah, I think they did this on Sunday. So, and people are now pissed. And now they're yelling, they're hooting and hollering. Some InfoWars reporter came in and I don't have a clip of that, unfortunately, hijacked everything, and he got kicked out. So when you hear in this report from local station KXAN, one person was removed, that was the InfoWars guy who had a megaphone, is yelling at everybody. Was not really productive for the conversation, but it didn't matter because it was pandemonium.
A lot to digest this morning after another heated public hearing when it comes to changes to the Austin homeless ordinance.
More than 300 people showed up last night. Some of them were very vocal, both with the council and with each other.
What will it take for this board to repeal the lenient changes they made in June that can lead to a shantytown? We cannot normalize shantytown. That doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help the homeless. Ma'am, the homeless are here to hear the solution. You're not
City council members and Integral Care were at the forum at St. Edward's University. Those people that you heard yelling there in that video were actually some of the calmer ones. At least one person was kicked out.
Yeah, last week the city manager recommended restrictions on where homeless people can camp. One guest at the meeting said that he wants to make sure the watershed area behind his house is included in that plan.
We were told by APD that it's probably not a good idea to go back there right now, that there's a couple individuals that might not be safe.
Adler, are you in tapering? Are you in tapering? You gonna go back to your $4 million condo now? You criminalize people for standing up for their community?
And the disruptions continued at a post-forum press conference with Mayor Steve Adler. Mayor Adler says City Council will consider increasing the funding for the homeless at a budget meeting next week. He says the city has to act now because next year they will be constrained by new property tax restrictions. He also said revenue from any expansion of the convention center could be used on the homeless issue.
And there you have it. That's always the answer. Don't reverse the dumb ordinances that you removed 2 months ago. No, just say, we need more money. And yeah, we're going to charge everyone the max tax rate this year because we won't be able to do that next year. So let's charge. You're going to pay for it. We need more money. Thank God there are people getting pissed off now. We need a lot more of that because this is almost old Austin versus new Austin, and it's glorious to watch. And people...
And I would assume old Austin wants to get rid of the homeless.
Yes. Well, they at least want to turn back the go ahead and camp anywhere. And everyone uses the same argument. You're doing exactly the wrong thing. You're doing what every other liberal city has done, and look at their results.
Yeah, the results are always bad.
Oh. Anyway, so I'm...
Well, we can do it better. Well, we know the mistakes that were made, but we can do it better.
We can make bigger mistakes with more money. We just need more money.
The shantytown thing did come up in the conversation. I'm of the opinion that you're just going to have to bite the bullet in these towns, these liberal towns, and let a shantytown crop up. It goes on in South America. It goes on
I don't like your idea.
I know you don't. Nobody does. But it's the most realistic thing you can do. Is let's be honest about it.
But you have shanty towns in multiple cities in California, and it hasn't produced any.
Where? There's no real true shanty town.
Every street corner.
No, that's not a shanty town.
Well, okay. I mean, how many?
That is just a bunch of people hanging around and, hanging out with tents.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I'm not talking about camping, which is what they call it now. Homeless camping.
Yeah. You're not homeless. You're just camping.
Oh, yeah. Just people camping. Yeah. No, I'm talking about you get a couple of acres. You put some acres together in an area that's really some places you can get water to. Usually a water truck, that would work. Bring it in once in a while, and everyone have their own buckets. And let people build little lean-tos.
Well,
to have its own government. It's where it's like in Brazil in the favelas. They have their own governments.
Yeah, but that's my point. Is the favelas are a huge issue.
Yeah. Well, so would shanty towns, but I don't see any other solution.
Yeah, but
they can't seem to address the problem correctly, so you might as well just let it fall into third world style.
Well,
it works outside of Africa. There's all of those little towns in Africa. There's little shanty towns outside the cities. Might as well they all South America. There's used to be Romani encampments all over Europe, and it's similar to a shanty town. Only they move. I mean, you can't do anything about it because they're not doing anything about it.
Well,
go to a fallback position.
So what you're saying is designate an area where the shanty town can prosper.
You make it sound like it's a joke.
No. That's exactly what you're saying. A designated place. This is not your idea alone. People are saying, hey, make a designated camping ground.
Well, it should be a shanty town. A camping ground is no good. Those tents are no good. You want you want a shanty town. You want the kind of thing that people can go and do reports about. Oh, look at these people. They're living like horrible. And then they show that, and there's this open sewer. You want an open, okay. You could have to design these things. Scott Adams has got something like this, but he's more, it's not going to be like my thinking. You want an open sewer so you can be aghast. At the open sewer and the turd going down the sewer, it's just open. You want kids that are half naked wandering around, you're all dirty, sucking their thumbs.
Barefoot.
Yeah, barefoot.
Playing with a rusty can.
Lots of dogs barking at everything.
Yeah.
We had a quasi shanty town here in the East Bay, over on the Bulb was called, an old ex-garbage dump that's over by Golden Gate Fields in Albany. There's this big area that was in the very far reaches of this. It's like a peninsula that is built of garbage dumps from the 20s and 30s. So it's green now, and they got trees and everything's growing on it. But there was a huge shanty town out there. It was a genuine one. You couldn't even go out to it because there's too many pit bulls, guarding the place. But it was a shanty town, and they let it go for years and years, and they finally went in there in the middle of the night and tore it down.
Well, go back to what else we need in the shanty town. I was kind of enjoying it. We were at barefoot children playing with the
barefoot children, open sewers, a lot of lean-tos, and now there was people
lean-tos. Yes, very good.
Leftover there's the kind of stuff that you make for kind of a galvanized corrugated steel.
Yes, very good.
Chunks of that and corrugated fiberglass that's just got this little curvy thing, and then it's pounded in.
And you always need to have a boat trailer with half a boat on it.
Oh, there's definitely a bunch of boat trailers and half a boat. People living in the boats. Open fires, burn barrels everywhere, especially in the winter. And we can.
I know the perfect spot, Terrytown.
We can spec it out.
Yeah, we're going to do that in Terrytown here in Austin.
There's a joke in there, right?
Oh, yeah. If you're in Austin, then you're loving it. It's where all the rich douchebags live. It's Terrytown.
Oh, yeah. Well, you put it right next to them.
Oh, in what's before Terrytown is... I got to think about it. Yes, that's a good neighborhood to do it. There's lots of trees to connect the lean-tos.
Oh, if the trees are good, they clean the air.
Well, we're headed that way, so we're laughing about it, but it ain't all that funny. Do you tell me?
While we're on that topic, though, there was an article I wanted you to read. It was about how some cities like Amsterdam have
over tourism.
Over tourism, and they're trying to limit the number of tourists that come in.
Yes.
Well, I was looking at the numbers, and the one that article didn't talk about it had San Francisco as number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Where they have too many tourists considering the population. The population of Amsterdam is about 1 million with about 18 million tourists.
Yeah, that's 18 million people in the whole country.
Yeah, and they're all in Amsterdam touring.
No, there's 18 million. Do you know that the Netherlands is, at this point, I believe, more densely populated than Japan?
Yeah, that's what it could be. It's possible.
And
it's easy calculation to figure out.
Yeah, because it's just room per square meter. So there's 18 million people in the country, and 18 million come through as tourists. And I think we talked about this. They're doing active tourist management to steer them away from Amsterdam, get them to go to the north, which is a total shithole. It has nothing to do with old. I mean, it's beautiful if you want to live there, but it's all new. I mean, it's brand new.
Yeah, wouldn't you want them to go to the south, or either
go to Rotterdam? Rotterdam would be better for outstanding world-class architecture, old and new.
And they got good restaurants.
Rotterdam's a good place to go. But yeah, Delft.
And they got that gate you can look at. They have the giant dam or whatever they call it, the dike that moves.
The Delta Works.
Yeah, you go there and they have a little museum. You can look at how the thing works.
It's a different dike in Amsterdam, but you can look at that too. Yeah, you go look at some Delft Blue, you go look at how they make cheese. But still, the problem is people don't go to Amsterdam. It's like, oh, yeah, I'll go to the Anne Frank house, which is complete shit. The Anne Frank house used to be the Anne Frank house on the canal. You'd go in, and when I was there, the walls were just the walls. Now they have plastic in front of plastic, but what's the word I'm looking for? Lucite or whatever in front of the walls, because people were writing their names, graffiti. So there's all this shit graffiti, and they've built this huge modern front and gift shop.
It's all modern.
Gift shop.
A shop, right? You gotta have that
shop, and the lines are outrageous, and it's nothing like a bad Disneyland exhibit. You walk past, like, I'm not going in there. Let's go to Space Mountain, and so that's ruined. And people are just there to party. They just want there. Because I'm drinking, smoking. It's annoying. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, now that same article talked about San Francisco. San Francisco's population is a little less than Amsterdam's.
Mm-hmm.
It's smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Traditionally, it's always been about 750,000, but it's up to 900,000, they say. But it has the same number of tourists, pretty much. It has 16 million.
Mm-hmm.
And they're stepping in poop.
Yeah.
I don't know what 16 million people in a town of less than 1 million, which is San Francisco. It's a lot of tourists. I don't know what they do. I mean, I go to San Francisco to shop at different places there that I get certain things specifically.
Did you say population or population?
These tourists are all on Fisherman's Wharf.
Yeah.
What do they do there?
I remember as a kid going to San Francisco, and my parents said, "Oh, Fisherman's Wharf." And I still don't remember where was it? What the hell? Why was it? What was something great that I missed?
No,
I just remember getting
Fisherman's Wharf
trucked around the city, and like, I don't know. And the only thing I remember was what's the windy street?
Lombard,
which is now, I guess it's over. There's every moron is on it. You make a reservation to drive on the road. Yeah. Ah! When we were kids, it was better.
It was, but whatever.
Hey, just a couple quickies. Looks like there are thousands of names that will be unsealed from Epstein documents. Oh yeah, another unsealing.
Oh sure.
Well, this one actually might happen. The judge, Presta, and this is from a separate lawsuit from Justce, one of the victims, and they want to unseal a lot of information, and people are really kind of freaking out because your name could be in there even though you didn't do anything wrong. There's going to be lots of names. You might have been to some party or whatever. I'm just saying this for your benefit, just so you got a heads up.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure I'm not in those lists. I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure. And I think we would be remiss if we did not mention Brexit, the latest. Do you have a report?
I have a Brexit clip.
Yeah, we need to update everybody on Brexit. Not that there's any actual change; it's just some more bull crap went down, but kind of in Boris Johnson's disadvantage.
Yes, there's a move afoot to, of course, extend the date, of course. And they're trying to prorogate or whatever it's pronounced. Prorogue, even though they tend to take this time off anyway, according to all the experts. And Farage is,
did you get the latest? What happened yesterday?
What?
Oh, no. So they had so what Boris Johnson said, the way I understand it, is, listen, we're going to get this done on time by October 31st, and otherwise, if there's no deal, it'll be a no. If there is no deal, we will do a no deal Brexit, and then he threatened, otherwise, I'll call for an election. And they voted yesterday on this piece of legislation, which effectively blocked him from by some crazy number. It's like the parliament doesn't appear to represent the people.
They don't want to leave. They love. There's some corruption in
some. Hello,
there's
Casablanca.
There's corruption in the British Isles.
So what does Farage have?
So Farage comes on, and yes, they block Johnson from doing much, and then they're going to maybe have an election, maybe not.
No, there's no election because they voted it down. There's no election.
No,
Done.
I mean after Brexit, this comes up.
Oh, okay.
Brexit.
All right.
And Farage was talking about it. Turns out they did a pre-poll on if they were going to do election before the Brexit, and Farage's party wasn't going to make any inroads. And so Nigel has accused Boris in this clip, you'll hear it, of doing double dealing and actually going over and trying to sneak a deal past everybody that is not going to be acceptable.
Remember what I said. Remember I predicted. I said Boris Johnson is not going to get it done. He will not get a Brexit done. I think he's doing sneaky deals, but they're sneakier than Farage may think.
Well, joining us now is Brexit Party leader Nigel Farage. Good morning to you. So when we look at those latest poll results, 13-14% doesn't translate into any seats at all. This is a lot of effort, bearing in mind that your motivation, your raison d'etre, is to see Brexit through. Would you not be better, therefore, supporting Boris Johnson and the Conservatives to make sure that Brexit does happen, rather than splitting that vote?
19 weeks ago, we launched the Brexit Party. Why? Because we trusted Theresa May, we trusted the Conservative Party to deliver Brexit. They didn't do it, so I formed the Brexit Party. We won the European elections. We reset the agenda. I mean, if we hadn't been formed, Theresa May would still be Prime Minister. Now, Boris Johnson has picked up all the lines we used in that campaign.
You must be pleased about that.
And, yeah, because we're winning. We've completely reset the British agenda. And, of course, now, no deal, leaving with a clean break Brexit is the most popular option. However, we now find ourselves in a very similar position to that with Mrs. May. Boris has won the leadership, telling us he will take us out on the 31st of October. But what he's done in the last week is he's gone back to Brussels, and clearly he wants to reheat the failed withdrawal agreement that was 3 times rejected by the House of Commons. And if we leave...
But without the backstop?
Even without the backstop, it's still the worst deal in history. Even without the backstop, it costs us $39 billion. It makes it virtually impossible for us ever to leave the customs union. We will not be a free, independent nation. So we are standing, and we will stand in every seat in this election. And we're saying to Boris Johnson, if you sell us out on Brexit, with this awful withdrawal treaty, we will fight you in every seat.
Nigel, if you're right in that analysis, why is it that your poll figures are dropping and his figures and the Conservative Party's figures are rising? If he's actually pulling a fast one and he's going to give us Theresa May's
because people haven't realised yet.
So we're too stupid to see it.
Yes!
No, because it's too early. This only began to happen last week, and you've got the loud noise says we'll leave with no deal on the 31st of October. If you actually look at what is being said by Macron, Merkel, by Boris Johnson, Boris in a letter last week said it was his highest priority to get a withdrawal agreement. We want a clean break Brexit.
Yeah. No, he's not going to get it done at all. At all. This is not the European way. This is not how the EU functions. Vote again, slaves. You did it wrong.
It's about right.
There was a funny moment, though. I was watching just before the vote, which came around. I don't know, like it was late for them in the UK. It must have been 4 or 5 in the afternoon here, and there was a pretty funny one. Some member of parliament who is, I think, Pakistani and had the appropriate outfit on. You know, Boris Johnson at some point wrote in an op-ed article, I think, and this was a long time ago, I believe maybe it was just this year, but I thought it was longer ago. He was talking about how the British, I'm paraphrasing, how the British street scene had changed to, what he said something, because he called burqas letterboxes, or he had some really derogatory term. And this guy stands up and calls him out on it. Let me see, here we go.
That might entertain some, but Boris Johnson is a leader that repels as well as attracts. A Labour MP demanding an apology that never came for a controversial column he wrote a year ago.
Those of us who from a young age have had to endure and face up to being called names such as Towelhead or Taliban or coming from Bongo land, we can appreciate full well the hurt and pain felt by already vulnerable Muslim women when they are described as looking like bank robbers and letterboxes.
I never heard coming from Bongo land.
I think he made that up.
I don't know, but I need
something you throw in. Bongo land?
Bongo land. Oh, it made me feel good. And let's leave it on that high note.
Yeah, okay.
Bongo land. I need to let you know Nick the Rat is coming up next from the sewer on noagendastream.com. We have a number of great end-of-show mixes from Jesse Coy Nelson. We've got Tom Starkweather and Rob and the Darbys with some great mixes. I know you'll enjoy them. And we look forward to returning on Sunday with another edition of the best podcast in the universe. Please remember us at Dvorak.org/NA, and I'm coming to you from Opportunity Zone 33, the frontier of Austin, Texas, FEMA Region number 6, and all the governmental maps. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where 97% of all carbon dioxide is produced by nature, I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Sunday right here on No Agenda. Until then, as always, we say adios, mofos, and such!
I know they feel so happy and gay about the straight pride parade. Whatever it is, I'm against it. Count me out, 'cause on this fence is where I won't sit, 'cause I'm against it. Says pride and masquerades as hate. Now it's a crime to be straight. Straight pride parade, I'm against it. Read the bylaws, get your permits to commence it. But I'm against it.
Oh, my goodness. We're against it.
I'm opposed to it.
Pride masquerading as hate.
On Marxist principles, I'm opposed to it. He's opposed to it. Virtue signals to the proletariat. On the day my son was born, amongst the pronouns I was torn. But the paperwork, I have sent it. Gender reassignment is a gift that lasts forever once you commence it.
Oh, my goodness. We're against it. The homelessness experience in Disneyland
Disney World
this is an exit strategy. I think we could create this ride. Now, do you sit in the ride, or I think you should also experience, for a brief moment, you stepping in human feces. I think the most enjoyable Disney rides are in a cart, and you got your music going on.
Okay, there's two ways of going about this. There's one is you're in the little cart, a little car, or a little thing, and it's going through a homeless encampment, and people are all animatronic.
That's like Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, exactly like Pirates of the Caribbean, only you're not. Maybe it could be, in a kind of a river of pee. If you're in kind of stinky pee, that would be okay. But I think generally speaking, it'd be better on rails, and you go through these things and you see all these different people. Did you go through the section where there's a bunch of politicians trying to come up with good solutions, and they finally say, we just need more housing, and then they come out.
Then you could do, and here's Los Angeles, and here's Austin. You could have a couple show some differences.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you could take the car through one place or another. You come out the other end of it and you feel real good about yourself, and now you understand.
Now you have evolved. That's what it is.
The other one, which is the cheaper way to go, is you wear some VR glasses, or you're in a VR situation. You experience the whole thing. Only now it's even more realistic. Not because it's not animatronics. It's not dummies and things like Pirates of the Caribbean. It's the actual videos that you're seeing, and surrounded by the real stench and filth and fans blowing the smell of crap in your face. And you go through the whole thing, and you come out the other end pretty much with the same message, but it's just a cheaper way to do the ride. And now you understand.
Now you have evolved.
Poor people used to live in slums. Now the economically disadvantaged occupy substandard housing in the inner cities. And they're broke. They don't have a negative cash flow position. They're fucking broke.
They're not homeless. They are neighbors who are camping.
The people that are camping in your neighborhoods are your neighbors too.
Oh, okay.
They live in your neighborhood.
They're my neighbors. Do you notice a trend here? You're not homeless. You're camping. It's completely different.
Which also is going to really help people that are camping currently to live in more sanitary conditions and be healthier themselves.
People just be in a place because they have nowhere else to be. It's not a crime. Really starting to focus. Really starting to focus on. We wouldn't expect that from our community, from our house communities. We don't expect it from people experiencing homelessness.
I'm still not going to see the movie.
But we're talking people who've been homeless, unhoused, experiencing it for 8 years, 9 years, 12 years. They live effectively outdoors, and now they're all just coming into the city. Hey, we can camp there. Why not? It's a lot closer to everything. It's where
we're here.
Where I can get drugs if I want them.
We ain't going nowhere. We're moving right next door to you.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine?
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. I'm still not going to see the movie.
It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood, a neighborly day for a beauty.
I'm still not going to see the movie.
There goes the neighborhood. There goes the neighborhood.
It's one hell of a day in my neighborhood. A hell of a day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I hope I get to move in your neighborhood someday. The problem is when I move in, y'all move away.
Rows are blazing. A nation is being torn apart. With weasel words hiding blame. This game is a lark. Theresa May's plans, they came back from the dead. Just how many strange fellows can you fit in one bed?
Parliament is on the brink of wrecking any deal that we might be able to strike.
The smirk on her face, showing such sweet schadenfreude. Now Boris has been charged to get this ice in order. The sleight of a hand, the illusion. You'll obey your master's beck and call.
And that would mean more dither more delay.
So, forgive me when I say, they want no Brexit at all.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for your Gitmo Nation National Anthem.
In the morning, Gitmo Nation, we are all charged up to be human resources and servants in all lands and all ships at sea. From the east to west, down under to the lowlands and beyond. We are happy and distracted slaves. Hear our Gitmo Nation song. The best podcast in the universe.
Dvorak.org/NA. Can you see that juice?